Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. It is 10 a.m. as we await the President of the United States to meet with a number of African leaders for a luncheon. That's a bit later. Prior to that, we're going to see the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, meet with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This is something every time there's a foreign leader that shows up to the Pentagon there, you'll see both national anthems played, a kind of a nice pomp and circumstance situation there, but it's nice to hear, of course, the Star-Spangled Banner. You'll hear the Israeli national anthem today as well as we await that. That's going to be in about 30 minutes from now. We have a lot of news topics to get to, of course, a number of videos to play, of course, from yesterday's cabinet meeting, the 6th cabinet meeting by President Donald J. Trump, as it is just starting out right now live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. As we monitor the programming schedule as well, we can share with you some of the schedule that we heard from Carolyn Levitt and others in regards to President Trump's travel. Of course, again, today at noon, the Commander-in-Chief will host a luncheon with leaders of the 5 African countries at the White House. And we're told on Friday the president will travel to Central Texas. According to reports there, now more than 100 people have lost their lives in Texas. There are still several people missing. And now New Mexico is getting hit with similar flooding. A lot of people, of course, asking about those 2 weather events. As I mentioned on Truth Social, climate change, in my opinion, is a hoax, and weather modification is not. That's my opinion, and it's great to be able to share that because it's what a lot of people are questioning about what's going on there, but that's for more weather experts at this point. But very interesting to see what happened there. Also, we can revisit portions of yesterday's cabinet meeting. Speaking of Texas, President Trump spoke about Central Texas and the fact that he will be going there on Friday. And I'm wondering at this point, since the New Mexico situation's happening with the flooding, will he then just head over to New Mexico after Texas? Because the flooding in New Mexico looks very similar to what just happened in Texas. Let's go to that video from yesterday's cabinet meeting with President Trump talking about the Lone Star State.
I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady. We'll be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us. But it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and it's probably unlikely at this point. But there could be. They're thinking there could be the possibility. But what a tragic situation. A good job, and we'll see you on Friday.
Okay, so President Trump speaking about Central Texas. Of course, if you watched yesterday's cabinet meeting, a lot of news coming out of it, of course, and also specifics from each of the department heads. Also, Kristi Noem started out the cabinet meeting there talking about what it was like to be in Texas. I remember she was there first just over the weekend when that was happening. It started on July 4th and into the 5th and over the weekend. And I remember looking on social media and seeing that Kristi Noem, the DHS secretary, was already boots on the ground. And that's something that we definitely didn't see with the prior administration. So great to see that Kristi Noem already on top of things there. And then also we'll see what happens in New Mexico, because if you've seen any of the video out of New Mexico, again, similar to what happened in Central Texas. So those reports are coming out now and throughout the day in New Mexico. So we'll see what the latest is there. A lot to get to in this broadcast. We have a number of live interviews to get to as well a bit later. And we're going to dive into every issue that you could think of when it comes to just the 24/7 news cycle. So stay with us as we await the Pentagon live feed, where we'll see the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu outside of the Pentagon. And then on top of that, we will then see the president interact with the luncheon there with the African leaders at the White House. So as soon as we get those live feeds, we'll go there. In the meantime, we'll be talking about a number of great sponsors here at the network. We also have, again, a number of news stories to get to within conservative media and what a lot of people are talking about. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Before we continue, let's go to more of the 24/7 news cycle. As President Trump, of course, started out speaking about the Central Texas situation. Then he was speaking about the big, beautiful law. Let's take a listen.
They gave us no credit during this last little, the great, big, beautiful bill. I always use the word great. I add that to it because it really is what it is. There's never been anything like it, actually. And I want to thank all the Republicans that voted for it. And I want to, scold the Democrats because they're voting for tax cuts. They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and many, many other things far more important than that. Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election because it was purely political vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got 218-2. And then with the Senate, we had 50-3. Democrats didn't vote at all. Not one positive vote with all of the good things in there. Economic development money, tremendous border money. Now you're loaded up on the border, and I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money because the wall's been largely built, and it obviously worked. But you may want to think about that. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats, and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. They make things up and they go with it, and they feed it to you people in many cases. And they said, "Here's a line," and I hear the new line is death. Oh, it's death. Everyone's going to die. There's nothing to do with that. In fact, we're saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone cold, hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing people to come in here just totally unchecked, unvetted, open borders, open borders. The whole world was dumped into our country from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We have many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about, that came out of insane asylums. They released the insane asylum population into our country, and it's amazing the job that you and Tom Homan are doing, by the way, on that. But we have to get them out, and we have no choice. We have to get them out, and we are getting them out.
It was definitely quite the cabinet meeting yesterday, again, the 6th one by President Trump. He also spoke about international trade when it comes to our country and the amount of money coming into our country with international trade. We'll also get into some of the back and forth when President Trump was talking about the mainstream media. And also, we'll talk about the whole Epstein file situation there, what people are saying out there. We'll have TS Dixon a bit later in the broadcast at about 11:40, I believe, to just react to some of the news coming out of the various investigations. As, again, we are on the Truth and MAGA train here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So glad to have a president in office that is on the right side of history. We'll also look at more specifics when it comes to what was discussed in that cabinet meeting yesterday, including that international trade. So let's take a look at that right now.
Yes, sir. We will have taken in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariff, the major tariff not having started till the second quarter. So we could expect that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year. We don't agree with CBO scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at $2.8 trillion, which we think is probably low.
So a lot of big dollars being talked about yesterday at the cabinet meeting. Now, as we continue our coverage here at Right Side, as we look forward to seeing the Secretary of Defense in a bit outside the Pentagon, he'll be meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as they do that kind of nice event right outside of the Pentagon there, where both national anthems play, as the Secretary of Defense will be meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister. That's in about 20 minutes from now, 21 minutes. And then, of course, later in the broadcast, we'll be seeing the President of the United States along with a number of leaders from African nations. That will be a luncheon, and we'll see what kind of access we get to that. It is open press, so we'll see. So thanks again for streaming in as we get more and more people are logging on and checking out Right Side Broadcasting Network right now as you stream this coverage wherever you're watching. Also, breaking news from RSBN when it comes to All Family Pharmacy. Of course, they're known for standing up for medical freedom. They just launched their biggest sale of the year, now through July 13th. So it's buy one, get one free on ivermectin, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine, all within the 200 milligrams there. That means whatever you order, they'll double it. That's 30 capsules becomes 60, 90 becomes 180. No insurance needed, no red tape, a doctor's prescription included. So while chains, the big ones, shut you out, All Family Pharmacy steps up, giving patriots the power to choose. So it's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. So that buy one, get one free ends July 13th. Let's now go to Colonial Metals Group. Of course, a great sponsor here at Right Side. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. You can protect your IRA and your 401k with gold, 100% tax-free. A great sponsor at Right Side. Also, the situation with BRICS, the BRICS nations trying to use their own currency instead of our dollar, and we're seeing inflation go down. We're seeing good things happen, but still having gold and silver as a backup plan. A great idea there with Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it's 11 minutes after 10. Thanks again for streaming with us. Those of you that started right at 10 o'clock, those of you that are just joining us, and more to join, of course, as the next couple hours goes on, because we're going to see two events live. We're going to see the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at about 10:30. And then President Trump meeting with foreign leaders for a luncheon at about 12 o'clock. We also have a number of fun interviews coming up around the 11 o'clock hour. When it gets a little closer, we'll talk about that. But also, we'll hear from the conservative analyst and author TS Dixon, just to get his reaction on yesterday's cabinet meeting and some of the details that were discussed in that. And let's go back to that right now. Let's go to the president yesterday speaking about the mainstream media, the good old mainstream media. Well, this is what President Trump had to say about that.
But they were a little downbeat because they listened to that fake CNN reporting and the fake New York Times. They worked together to try and say that it wasn't perfect. They couldn't say what they missed. All they could say is, maybe it wasn't perfect. And you ought to fire that reporter immediately. You should fire her. Real fake. And so I just want to congratulate those pilots. And, a lot of people don't like bringing things like that up. I do. I always like confronting, because otherwise the public doesn't know that you're a bunch of crooked people. But they know, they've learned, and the media has to straighten out their act. The media is down to 17% approval. You got to do a little better than that. It's important for the country that you do better. I think they ought to make a lot of changes. I think changes are going to be made to the media, but it's hard to have a really successful country if you have a corrupt media, and we really have a corrupt media. And nobody really knows why. I mean, why would you want to have open borders and criminals pouring into our country? Why would you want to have men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone? You'll have to figure that out. But some of you don't. I mean, I'm looking at some people, they love the country, but I look at other people and they can't. But we're really proud of our military.
And of course, you always want to stay on the right side of history, and the majority of this nation for the past three elections voting for President Trump. Of course, we know what happened in 2020. Meantime, shifting gears slightly, but still within the same vein, obviously the Epstein files were discussed yesterday. What we're going to do is have an interview with TS Dixon on that at about 11:40, but also specifically If you look at February 11th of this year, Florida Representative Ana Paulina Luna announced a federal secrets declassification task force. So I'm simply reporting what was reported and what was released during a press conference by Kentucky's James Comer and also Ana Paulina Luna of Florida. So the announcement was, it was all about declassifying government secrets. This was February 11th. So I posted this on Truth Social as well. People are talking about it in general when it comes to, of course, the JFK, RFK, and MLK assassinations. We want to know, as we the people, was there any government involvement with that? Now, we know, most of us know the answer to that. And I'm simply reporting at this point, but I'm just, bringing it up for a number of reasons. Of course, one of the other things that the declassification task force was going to do was to talk about and investigate the Epstein files. And we heard about this Epstein client list. Also, documents about UFOs and the 9/11 files and COVID files. This is all on the record reported information on February 11th of 2025 when Ana Paulina Luna said there's going to be this declassification task force. So as we're hearing from various governmental agencies, some of these investigations have wrapped up. It's something we're monitoring, of course, here at the network, as there are a number of conservative voices questioning various investigations, including what happened to the widely talked about Epstein list. I totally understand where a number of MAGA conservatives are coming from a common sense perspective. We were all told there was an Epstein client list, and now we're told there was no such list. So we'll monitor the latest as we get more information. Also, again, at 11:40, we'll have TS Dixon on to just react to yesterday's news and the cabinet meeting information there, including the fact that there are so many investigations that were to be declassified, according to Ana Paulina Luna, including 9/11 files, COVID files, and on. So still staying on top of that. Again, it's the 20 core promises to the American people by President Trump and the RNC platform. And then on top of that, things like this, these investigations into any wrongdoing. Also, switching gears slightly as you take a live look outside the Pentagon as we await the Pentagon Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to meet outside the Pentagon there. I believe both national anthems will play before they walk in to meet. But in an article you can also find on all of our RSBN platforms, back to the situation when it comes to, just switching gears slightly from yesterday's cabinet meeting. According to reports, Fox is saying that the FBI has launched criminal investigations into former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey, focusing on their roles in the government's handling of allegations of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Again, according to reports, that is happening with the FBI, where they're investigating John Brennan and the former FBI Director James Comey. So we'll see what the latest is on that as well. All right, so it is 10:17 this morning. You're looking live there outside the Pentagon, the strongest, toughest military base in the world, in Virginia there, as we get ready to go to a commercial break here, as it's 10:17 live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And Matthew Alvarez will get into some of President Trump's Truth Social posts as we cover the news of the day. It's a 24/7 news cycle. We're on the Trump train, we're on the truth train, and we're on the MAGA train. Here's the thing, most importantly, the truth train. Whatever the truth is, we're on that train all day, all night, and forevermore until Jesus returns. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. 20 minutes after 10 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. Out there, 7:20 on the West Coast. Thanks so much for watching from coast to coast and, of course, the Mountain Time Zone and Central Time Zone as we are awaiting the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, as they will greet each other right outside of the Pentagon. Both national anthems will play, so we'll have that portion of that live right here on Right Side. A bit later, President Trump to meet with some foreign leaders for a lunch. We also have access to that. It looks like it's the White House press pool. We are a part of that in the sense of we have the feed to it, and we will air that live as it happens. In the meantime, in some medical news, in April of 2025, Arkansas actually became the first U.S. state to enact a law prohibiting pharmacy benefit managers from owning or operating pharmacies, aiming to address conflicts of interest that critics say drive up drug prices and harm independent pharmacies. So there are a number of key articles known as that talk about this House Bill 1150, or it's Act 624, signed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on the 16th of April of this year, with an effective date of January 1st, 2026. So basically, some of these articles that we're looking at, Arkansas adopts a first-in-the-nation law on pharmacy benefit managers. So the summary of it from Stat News, the law bans PBMs, those are the pharmacy benefit managers, from operating retail and mail-order pharmacies to eliminate conflicts of interest blamed for inflating drug prices and closing independent pharmacies. So it targets the major PBMs like CVS, Caremark, Express Scripts, OptumRx, which process nearly 80% of the U.S. prescriptions. So critics, including CVS, argue it will disrupt access, while supporters say it protects local pharmacies. So we're seeing that article out of Arkansas there. And you see, of course, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, one of our sponsors here at the network. But, you know, outside of just that being a great sponsor, it's interesting to see that these PBMs, the specifics are the pharmacy benefit managers. There's a law that is now enacting when it comes to the PBMs from owning or operating pharmacies, which are aiming to address these conflicts of interest. So it's actually a win for independent pharmacies. So great to see that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as it's 10:23, Wednesday, July 9th. Again, awaiting the Secretary of Defense and then the Israeli Prime Minister to meet there outside the Pentagon. Looking forward to bringing that live coverage to you. And also hearing the national anthems as we monitor the news of the day. A lot of people talking on X, a lot of people talking on Truth Social about yesterday's cabinet meeting. That's what we're seeing here at the network. We'll have at about 11:40, the conservative analyst and author TS Dixon will join us to give us his reaction on the cabinet meeting yesterday. Of course, we covered a number of the key points from the cabinet meeting if you're just joining us now over the past 20 minutes. So instead of repeating everything we just talked about over the past 20, we may touch on those issues a bit later when it comes to various coverage that we have here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so what we do have at 11 a.m., if you want a little bit of a musical interlude of sorts, of course, summertime is great for, the American barbecue, July 4th, rock music, country music, whatever music you're into. We have a couple special guests coming up at around 11 this morning, and a pretty cool music video as well that we've have the full permission to air here at the network. So it's great to see that. We'll show you all about that a bit later in the broadcast as we await two events today, two live things happening. One is right there at the Pentagon. We're going to see the Israeli Prime Minister greet the Secretary of Defense, and we're going to see them meet right outside the Pentagon. I believe that will be all of the video footage that we'll have live is after the anthems play. Then the two leaders will walk into the Pentagon and have their meeting there. And then a bit later, again, at about 12:05 Eastern time, we'll have that luncheon between President Trump and a number of African leaders there at the White House. So as soon as we see that, we'll be going to that as well. We have about 3 live interviews coming up, and then also a number of videos to go to as well. If you're just joining us right now, Matthew Alvarez, you see the press out there. This is kind of how things go. Why don't we go there live and just kind of listen in, even though it's just kind of preliminary at this point. Let's go there live.
Approaching zone. Right foot in place. No talking. Rest.
Okay, in about probably 2 minutes from now, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, will walk out of the Pentagon there and stand there at attention with the rest of the military that is standing by there. And then, of course, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, on his way to greet the Secretary of Defense. And then after the national anthems play for our great country, the United States of America and Israel, then we will see both leaders walk into the Pentagon. And then from there, we'll be shifting our coverage, staying on this live stream, of course, and then getting ready, of course, to see President Trump and the world leaders that are having a lunch at about 12:05 Eastern time. So we're going to be together for quite some time here. Thanks again for live streaming in. We have a number of interviews coming up, and of course we're talking about the news of the day as well, and diving into various things, just like the big beautiful bill. We've been talking about the big beautiful law now for quite some time, and getting into some of the specifics. That's something that we've been doing a lot this week, and we can dive into that if time permits in a bit. Also, if you're just joining us, we did play a number of the videos from yesterday's cabinet meeting, and we'll have TS Dixon at about 11:40 Eastern to get his reaction on how the cabinet meeting went. Of course, it was a lot of great things happening within that cabinet meeting, and there's some things that happened that people were talking about. We'll get to that in just a bit. Also, in about half an hour from now, it'll be somewhat of a musical interlude here at the network. We'll have about a 3-minute music video we're going to play for you. We have some special guests to join us at about 11 o'clock this morning, so hopefully you stick around, but also just let your friends and family know that they can watch right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we are live. And as we are live most of the time, it seems like, there's always those rallies over the years, all of the different events, including this one right here, as we have a live feed to the Pentagon right there. And then we'll have a live feed to the White House a bit later in the day. So just to review President Trump's schedule. So again, he'll be meeting with a number of African leaders for lunch at the White House at about 12 o'clock. We'll have that for you here. We're hearing that he will go to Central Texas on Friday. As you know, more than 100 people lost their lives during those catastrophic floods. There are still dozens missing, dozens of people still missing from that terrible tragedy. And then if you're sticking with the latest news when it comes to all sorts of events, the New Mexico floods happened, and the videos that we're seeing are very similar to what we saw in Central Texas. So I haven't received or seen any reports as of this second of anything tragic yet in New Mexico. Now, this is on top of the fact that we did see videos of houses being washed away. I mean, it was some very dramatic video that we saw. It was quite tough to watch, because you wonder, how in the world can that much rain fall in one spot and just sit there and cause these massive flash floods to occur? Makes you wonder. I already spoke about my 2 cents on that earlier in the broadcast. But anyway, so it's 10:31 Eastern, awaiting the Pentagon chief, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We're going to see them meet there outside the Pentagon. And then again, we'll shift over to the coverage for President Trump, which will be coming up in about an hour and a half from now. In the meantime, we'll have that musical interlude at about 11, and then we'll go to, again, TS Dixon at 11:40 to give us reaction on that cabinet meeting from yesterday. And if there's any other breaking news that happens while we're live here, of course, we'll be able to cover it. We're here ready to go at the network. All right, so let's go to President Trump right now with Truth Social. He's posting a number of articles and other things right now. 1 minute ago, from Marco Rubio, Trump defense deal with NATO is a big, beautiful win for America. That from the USA Today. President Trump 2 minutes ago on Breitbart, golden age, Trump stacks up MAGA wins in first 6 months. We're seeing the president retruth something from about 2 days ago, saying any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS, now the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. President Trump says they will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There will be no exceptions to this policy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The president also reposting the post about the Brazilian former leader Jair Bolsonaro, basically leave Bolsonaro alone. He didn't do anything wrong. And we talked with Ricardo Martins yesterday. If you missed any of our live coverage, you can always check that out if you'd like. Just in regards to the Brazilian people, just like we, the people in this country, we simply want freedom to be one of the main things that we have in this country, and that's the Constitution of these United States. So that's the same thing for, I think, a lot of people around the world, no matter what kind of government they have over them. Hopefully a government that's over someone will be like our country, where it is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Unfortunately, a number of other nations are turning against that, but there are great countries like El Salvador, Hungary, and others that are saying, no, that's a great model right there. It's called conservatism. It's called freedom. It's called closed borders, law and order, justice being served, all of the things, right? So that's what we want here in this country, and looking forward to sticking around for a number of live interviews that we have in store here at Right Side as we continue to cover, again, the 24/7 news cycle. Let's go to callsheet.com in the meantime, callsheet.com/RSBN, as we let you know about various things when it comes to Call Sheet, because we know that this is the facts about it. They are real money markets. You know, this is something that isn't just a poll. So the real money markets where people are trading on what they think will happen, they're often more accurate than polls because money's on the line. So whether it's science or technology or elections or politics or religion or whatever, you can trade and bet on callsheet.com. We're also told they have more than 1 million users, and they've facilitated more than $2 billion worth of trades. I like to check out the app once in a while just to see what people are talking about on it, whether, again, it's inflation or elections, that kind of thing. We know inflation's going down thanks to President Trump. It's a great way to sense where the public is leaning beyond the headlines or vibes. And if you want to try it out, Callsheet's actually giving $10 to anyone who signs up using the link callsheet.com/RSBN and trades $100. So pretty good deal right there. As we're about to meet, we're about to see the Secretary of Defense. There he is. Let's go there live as he awaits the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. All right, so 10:41 Eastern Time as we now await the President of the United States as he's going to have a luncheon with a number of world leaders at about 12 o'clock. In the meantime, in about 19 minutes from now, those of you that, you know, news is always good. We're looking forward to bringing as much conservative news to you. We also have a couple of great patriots that will be joining us at about 11 this morning. So we're going to be sharing a new video that they put out there, a music video. So we'll let you know who that guest is when it gets a little closer. So hopefully you'll stick with us as we get ready to listen to a great song and then also interview a couple of these people. All right, so 10:41 this morning. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming with us here on Right Side. If you missed any of our coverage for the past 40 minutes, we have touched on a lot of topics, including what was discussed at the cabinet meeting yesterday. We'll be having some more from an analyst coming up at about 11:40 in regards to yesterday's cabinet meeting as well. So looking forward to you sticking around for a number of items, including, of course, the main reason why you're watching right now is most likely, of course, for President Trump and for Pete Hegseth, but also I think people are becoming more reliant on conservative media, conservative news, and Right Side Broadcasting Network. As you've seen Robert McNeely here at the desk, you've seen myself as we continue to cover what's going on out there in the world, including within, of course, a primary focus of Washington, D.C. That's why, of course, we just saw the Pentagon there, and then we'll be going to the White House in just a bit as we get ready to dive into a few of the topics from yesterday's cabinet meeting in a bit from now. So stick with us as we continue to want to bring you the same common sense reporting that we have since 2015. The truth of the matter was, back in the day, those mainstream outlets, they didn't want to show the crowds. They didn't want to listen to the full speech. But Right Side Broadcasting Network, of course, has always done that and always will be on the right side of history. And thank God for Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank God for conservative media as a whole, as we're on this side now. You know, the left wing and the mainstream media days, they're losing viewers because they're not telling it like it is, like we do here at Right Side and like you hear from many great conservative voices on the right side of history out there. So thanks for streaming with us. We love you, America. That is not just to say that to attract more viewers. I mean, that's really what we're about. I'm an American citizen, so are you. We want the same things. We want that freedom to have faith in God and practice our faith. We want to be able to have freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the right to keep and bear arms. We want to have all of that Constitution as the law of the land. We also, speaking of the law, anybody that has broken the law, we want to see justice be served because we need our country to be saved going into the next term as well. Because if somehow the other guys get in, my oh my, oh man, hopefully that doesn't happen. But anyway, so 1044, when I say hopefully that doesn't happen, it's simply through voting and prayer and hard work for us to get the right people in office, including for those midterms in 2026. All right, let's go to some of our sponsors as we await some fun interviews coming up here in just a minute. Of course, there's some of that breaking news right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network when it comes to our great sponsor, All Family Pharmacy. They're known for standing up for medical freedom. Isn't that great? We could just stop there for a second. Freedom, right? Again, it's simple stuff. You don't need to get rocket science when it comes to freedom. They just launched their biggest sale of the year. So now through July 13th, it's buy one, get one free on ivermectin, mebendazole, and hydroxychloroquine. That means whatever you order, they'll double it. So 30 capsules becomes 60, 90 becomes 180. No insurance needed. There's no red tape. You got a doctor's prescription included. So while the big chains, they shut you out, All Family Pharmacy, independent pharmacy, steps up, giving patriots just like you the power to choose these different products that they have, ivermectin and all that. So you can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Now this situation right now where it's buy one, get one free, that's only until July 13th. So only a few days left on that. Definitely something to take advantage of right there on the network, Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, angelpaste.com. If you use that RSBN promo code, you'll not only get a percentage off the Miracle Cream, there's other products as well. So take a look at all of that. Angelpaste.com. A great sponsor here out of Spring, Texas, of course. Texas is on our mind, on our hearts as well because of what happened there over the past several days. And now New Mexico as well with the flooding. But outside of that, I'm sure the people of Texas, of course, are praying and working together out there to help people. Angel Paste, a great sponsor at this network out of Spring, Texas, and helping these various sponsorships here really pours into that small business in America, the backbone of our economy. So shout out to angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas, as it's 10:46, Wednesday, July 9th. I think at about 10:55, as long as there's no breaking news, we'll play this video for you as we get ready to shift gears just for a few minutes as we enjoy summer vacations, summertime, barbecues. We just had July 4th and all that. So we'll have a couple special guests join us in just a minute. And then also we'll play that video for you. Also, later in the 11 o'clock hour, of course, we'll be right back into the news of the day and a lot of specifics when it comes to yesterday's cabinet meeting, as we'll have an analyst, TS Dixon, show up at, I think it's about 11:40, to get his reaction on it. And if you've heard from his commentary over the past few weeks, really on point and well respected when it comes to what he says, because he's articulating truth in a way that I really haven't heard, to be honest, from a lot of people. So we know that we have some great articulating people at the White House. We have great communicators. You think of Stephen Miller, you think of President Trump, you think of Carolyn Levitt, everybody really on the right side of history. But yesterday, there's a lot of people, though, talking about a lot of specifics when it comes to certain investigations. We're going to dive right into it, not afraid to do so, because it's truth, it's common sense. Why not? This is what people are talking about. We're going to dive into it in just a bit. All right, so 10:48, Wednesday, July 9th. Let's go over a couple of the headlines that we're following. Of course, Central Texas, the flooding that's claimed the lives of more than 100 of our citizens. There are still dozens of people missing in Texas. Then now in New Mexico, some of the similar looking flash floods are happening there. I've seen MTG on out there talking about the weather modification or weather manipulation instead of it just being so-called Mother Nature dropping rain like that. There's a lot of varying opinions on what's going on out there. I tend to lean toward the truth always. Not tend, I'm on that side. And when there's that much going on, and I've covered a lot of weather events over the years. I posted that on Truth Social earlier and posted a photo of me, I believe it was in New Jersey. You remember when Superstorm Sandy hit? I was working for various local outlets out there and reporting live from just flooded waterways and everything. And there was teams, scuba teams that were behind me and military trucks and all that. And all my years of weather coverage, which has been at least 15 years, if not more, I've covered all sorts of weather. I've never, ever seen these kind of flash floods in this kind of way, where a storm would somehow sit there and just keep pouring rain like that. So, yeah, so we see that MTG and others talking about this weather modification, and, you know, not afraid to go there here at Right Side. I think that's what's great about conservative media. We're not going to be afraid to go to places that others are afraid to go, like in mainstream media. They wouldn't ever say the words weather modification. And if they do, they would be like, oh, that's not even close. There's nothing like that happening out there. It's just the weather. Yeah, well, that's what they said about a lot of things the mainstream media did, and they were wrong. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents once again at 10:50. Looking forward to having a little bit of fun with you guys in about 10 minutes from now, maybe about 7. We're going to play a music video for you and then have a couple special guests join us. 2 great patriots here at the network. And then a bit later, we'll dive into some of yesterday's cabinet meeting as we continue to see what people are talking about and what's important to everyone out there. We, the people, are the ones, right? We are the people that a government of, by, and for the people. And of course, that's what's great about President Trump and the White House, is that's what it's all about, serving us. We elected him, we elected his agenda. We see great cabinet leaders. But then right now, what we're hearing from some conservative voices out there, MAGA voices, conservative voices, people from all sides of the aisle, are talking about certain specifics. I'm teasing all the coverage because I think this interview at 11:40 is going to be right on and spot on. But we'll see as it happens. That'll be with TS Dixon. Also, looking forward to the next few minutes here with you at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So thanks again for streaming in live with us. Let's go over some of the big, beautiful bill, then the big, beautiful law now, and then we'll shift over to play some music for you here and get ready for our live interviews coming up. So we're going to scroll down to that here on the network so you guys can follow along if you'd like. When it comes to, I'm going to read a number of great things that are within the big, beautiful bill. So here's what this means for everyday America. It's the largest tax cut in history for middle and working class Americans. There's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. There's $12.5 billion going into overhauling our air traffic control system. That is what's needed. That's what we're getting. There's a permanent increase for the child tax credit for more than 40 million families. Permanently also securing our borders by finishing the border wall, hiring thousands of new ICE officers and Border Patrol agents. Also driving down energy costs with the massive expansion of domestic oil and gas production capacity. Also from the White House, this report talking about the big, beautiful law. It's a tax deduction on Made in America auto loan interest. Protection for 2 million family farms from punitive double taxation. Also creating Trump investment accounts for every American newborn. On top of that, restoring fiscal sanity by cutting $1.5 trillion in spending and strengthening Medicaid by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse and blocking illegal immigrants from receiving Medicaid. Also funding the Golden Dome missile defense system to confront 21st century threats and modernizing our military to ensure that it has the resources to be a ready, lethal fighting force after 4 years of Biden-era weakness. So that all from the big, beautiful law, as we are going to go to a commercial break, because on the other side of this break, we're going to play you that music video, and then we have our special guest. We have 2 of them coming up. Will join us here live on Right Side. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez as it's 10:55 Wednesday, July 9th. And summertime, of course, is always a patriotic time of year. July 4th, barbecues, concerts, good times. So let's take a look at a brand new music video with two great patriots, Ted Nugent, Ira Dean, who are remembering country icon Charlie Daniels of the Charlie Daniels Band, who passed away 5 years ago this past Sunday. It's a song titled, What Would Charlie Daniels Do? Take a look.
This one's for Charlie Daniels. I was trucking up the highway, minding my own lane, with some dude in a Prius went and flipped me off. Guess my redneck hit him wrong. Seems like everyone these days is a ticking time bomb full of hate for folks like me who don't agree and ain't ever gonna change. And it gets me thinking, leave this long-haired country boy alone. And I start singing along to that line in the song, Sweet Home Alabama. I hope Neil Young will remember, a Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Yeah, I'm one of them, don't give a damn, live off the land, Ted Nugent fan, hair to my shoulder, country all over. Daddy was a soldier, so if you find yourself way out here where the back roads wind to me and mine, why don't you stop by, meet the wife, grab a beer, Lord knows you're gonna hear. Leave this long-haired country boy alone. And I start singing along to that line in the song, Sweet Home Alabama. I hope Neil Young will remember, a Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Take it, Ted. sweet home Alabama. I hope Neil Young will remember. A Southern man don't need him around anyhow.
Joining us now is rock star Ted Nugent. Ted, thanks so much for joining us. That video is pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a great song about a great man, and greetings to you, Matthew, and everybody. You have a right side broadcasting. Boy, do you deserve me. Welcome from the Nugent family man cave, cuckoo's nest, arsenal of democracy. We had a bumper crop of middle fingers this year, so I do what Charlie Daniels would do every day.
That is awesome. It's wonderful to see that. I mean, I remember going to Nashville hockey games, and the Charlie Daniels Band years ago would be playing between the intermissions. What a great artist he was. And your thoughts about just being part of this new song?
Well, Ira Dean is a soul brother, a funk brother, a blood brother. He's a hunter, an outdoorsman, a conservation, a constitutionalist, a conservative. Wow, the big 3 C's. That describes Charlie Daniels. I got to meet Charlie when I was part of his wonderful charity, the Volunteer Jam. And the integrity, the honesty, the cockiness, the attitude, the spirit, the piss and the vinegar, and the dedication to the American dream of being the best that you can be, and to stand up in this new curse that was developing called political correctness that turned into the toxicity of the cancel culture. Charlie Daniels was the tip of the spear for good over evil before there was a Donald Trump. I'd like to think, quite honestly, Matthew, that the reason we're paying tribute to the great Charlie Daniels in this wonderful song, Ira Dean really created a masterpiece, and I was proud to be a part of it along with my gas-guzzling Ford Bronco. Anyhow, Charlie Daniels represented that outdoorsman, that rugged individual, that warrior for constitutionality before we thought we had to fight for the Constitution, before the Obama invasion, before the political correct numbnut celebration. So Charlie Daniels was an inspiration to stand strong, and there's a great story where he wrestled with a post hole digger, and he even overcame that moment. So he was a good friend, he was a blood brother, a soul brother, and musically he qualified as a funk brother. What a great band, what great music, what great integrity, what great dedication and virtuosity in the music world.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember also, you know, again, when I hear his songs, I mean, it's just that country sound, but also a little bit of the rock sound as well. Speaking of that, sir, you know, what was that like for you to play the national anthem, you know, in front of the world to see before President Trump's various rallies out there, just a jam on that guitar, man?
Well, you know, I was raised in Detroit. I was born in 1948. I'm an old man. I know you respect your elders. But my dad raised me with the U.S. Army drill sergeant cavalry guiding light to demand the best from the Nugent family. And that was the standard operating procedure when I was born, Matthew. I mean, the pride of ownership, the pride of productivity, the concept of taking someone else's earnings or thinking that you had a right to someone else's productivity was literally non-existent back then. Everybody was coming out of this celebration of good over evil in World War II. And when I get to play the national anthem for what I am convinced, and people of conscience and goodwill and decency are convinced that Donald Trump is the best commander-in-chief we have ever had in the most demanding and challenging of times. And that's why the song, What Would Charlie Daniels Do? When I play the national anthem in front of those great patriots every night, and I do it, we're doing the Wisconsin State Fair this month, we're doing a bunch of runs here in Michigan at the end of August, and I play the national anthem every night, and nobody's feet touch the ground. I'm inspired like I was when I was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's goosebumps on my goosebumps. So when Ira Dean called me to put that Detroit guitar on this wonderful song about Charlie Daniels' legacy and influence, I jumped at the opportunity. And by the way, you said Charlie had a little bit of rock and roll. Oh no, he had a whole lot of rock and roll. He had a blues rock and roll band. And that's what Ira Dean did to this tribute to Charlie. It's got a soulful redneck. By the way, we're upgrading the term redneck to Ted neck. It has a real down-to-earth ranching, farming, hunting, fishing, trapping, drive to be the best that you can be, energy to it. So it's country, but it's also folky. Could be played around a campfire. It's sincere, it's honest, and it's inspired by the great Charlie Daniels.
And it's awesome. The video, if you're just joining us right now, the great Ted Nugent, rock star right here, joining us live. You can watch that video once again if you want to hit pause and scrub back as we await the presidential coverage a little bit later in the broadcast. But Ted, what drives you to keep doing what you're doing? You're out there. I've seen your show, and you're just, man, you tell it like it is, Ted, and that's what I love about you, sir.
Well, thank you. I was raised to be honest. I was raised to, let's simplify it after 77 years. Back when I was in my 20s, I was attacked because I carried a gun and I ate venison. And I mean, when the hippies would attack me for doing two perfect things, I mean, it's self-defense is perfect. The Second Amendment is perfect. Venison, conservation, bow hunting, challenge, higher level of the spirit of the wild awareness. They would attack me for doing perfect stuff while they were drooling and throwing up and stumbling and dying, getting high and drunk. So I've been so fortunate that I made the right decisions because my mom and dad forced me to make the right decision. Now, I could have been a rebel. I probably should have gone into heroin by the time I was 18. But instead, I saw that the drugs and alcohol were destroying the musicians around me. And the Amboy Dukes made such superior, adventurous, eclectic music of every imaginable scope and genre that I'm surrounded by the best musicians. Ira Dean is a perfect example. His band is absolutely soul brothers. And I was born in Detroit, land of the Funk Brothers and the Motown Orchestra and Mitch Ryden of the Detroit Wheels and all the greatest artists that ever lived, I might add, that inspired the British invasion. So I'm lucky that I've been clean and sober for 77 years, so I'm a bit uppity. You may have noticed that I'm a bit uppity, and I won't take any crap. And when bureaucrats try to force crap upon me, I push back and I absolutely stop them in their tracks. Now, I'm overwhelmed in all 50 states right now, but I'm going to overwhelm them because I believe in America. It's an American dream that you can pursue your hopes and dreams uninhibited with freedom that is outlined in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Ten Commandments, Golden Rule, and I'm not backing down. And that's why Ira Dean and I deserve each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. Ira's going to join us right after our interview with you, sir. Thanks for spending the time with us. So tell us a little bit about, and by the way, Ted, there's a million directions I can go with you right now. There's a lot of news going on. Why don't we do this? Well, let's go 30,000 foot view. And if we're flying on in the airplane and you want to do a skydive right now into whatever news topic you want to do, what do you think about what's going on out there in this 24/7 news cycle? We've got yesterday's cabinet meeting. You have the floods in Texas and New Mexico. There's just a lot going on.
There is a lot going on, and I think I can overview it thusly that everyone of conscience and heart and soul and empathy is praying for our friends in the hill country of Texas. Now, those are my people. I hunt with those people. I know those people. I know the people who survived, and I know the people that didn't survive. So gonzo prayers from the Nugent family and every conscientious, loving American. That's number one. But not just for the victims and the heartbreak, but to make sure that we don't let it happen again. I'm a Texan. I'm speaking from the sacred swamps of Michigan right now, Matthew. But I'm an American before I'm a Michiganiac or a Texan. And we've got to right the wrongs that we see so rampant. And I'll give you an overview of the great Donald Trump, and he is a great man. He's the best president ever. But when he works for me. I love him, but he works for me. We voted for him for his conservative, conservation, constitutional battle cries. And when he said, why are people still worried about the Jeffrey Epstein situation? My great president, you made a terrible mistake when you said that. We're never going to forget atrocities. We want the answers. We want the answers on all of these deep state atrocities. We will never forget until somebody is held accountable. And right now it breaks my heart because I don't think anybody's being held accountable except the invaders, but not the people who orchestrated the invasion. So that's my overview. And again, I maintain unlimited positive attitude and energy and spirit, but that's because I fight against the negative situations in this country. So people, here's one for you, Matthew, HunterNation.org. If people would join me at HunterNation.org, it's a nonprofit volunteer 501c3 where we get conservatives to vote, because it's not the communists and the liberals and the Democrats that ruined everything. It's the apathy by a huge army of conservative voters that haven't engaged. Now, we did in November of 24, but we have to do it all the time.
100%. Ted Nugent, last question for you. What's your advice to the American people moving forward, and also to the government that, again, we are the ones that hired the government, right? Even though it's a government of, by, and for the people. When it comes to justice being served for our next election that's coming up, of course, it's the midterms. Then we're looking at 28, 29. We want our country to be saved. We want it to be for long term, not just for the 4 great years of President Trump, but more, right?
You know, Matthew, it's so simple, even guitar players can figure it out. I think I can summarize it by saying that I just took a solemn oath to the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan Constitution as my 40th year as a sheriff deputy here in the state of Michigan. I've conducted raids with the heroes of the U.S. Marshal Service, the Texas Rangers, at a time when the FBI was actually a law enforcement agency. And Kash Patel is bringing it back into that sacred oath-keeping mantra. But it's up to we the people. I would demand every elected employee, notice I didn't say official, every elected employee, I'm the electing official. I'm just a guitar player, but I'm the boss. I'm a we the people boss. I'm experimenting in self-government, and I demand that my elected employees reread their oath to the Constitution and start living up to it. That's why we're in this toilet flush, because the Democrat Party has abandoned their oath to the U.S. Constitution in every instance, whether they support the perversion of Drag Queen Story Hour, where these perverted fat men in pantyhose are singing "It Won't Lick Itself" to children, Matthew. When I say stuff like that, people go, oh, that's radical. Well, it's not as radical as the existence of that perversion. It's up to we the people to spotlight the cockroaches. But you don't just spotlight cockroaches, you stomp them and you get rid of them. And that's what we have to do with these oath violators. And anybody that's not engaged, any American that says, I'm not into politics, then move to France where you're not allowed to have an experiment. Move to Cuba where you're not allowed to be we the people. Every American has a moral, spiritual, and intellectual obligation, a duty, a responsibility to engage in this experiment in self-government and vote the foundational values: God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, Ten Commandments, Golden Rule, Declaration of Independence, law and order, good over evil, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, all our God-given individual rights as guaranteed by those sacred documents. Duh! Anybody want to debate me on that? Call 1-800-NUMBNUT, and I'll get Michael Moore to tell you personal hygiene.
You know, Ted, what you just said there in the past 20 seconds is the same thing that I've said on this broadcast for, I've worked at Right Side since 2022. It's the common sense stuff, isn't it, Ted Nugent?
You know, if you follow me around, I mean, I've been checking my traps here in the sacred Michigan swamps. I'm balancing nature. I'm a biodiversity czar. I've hunted squirrels with my dogs this morning. I'm training my dogs. I sighted in my new machine gun. Have you sighted in your new machine gun lately? So I live the ultimate rugged individual, self-sufficient, constitutionally demanding we the people American dream. And people call me a radical and extremist, and I say, you noticed, did you? The experiment in self-government is the most radical thing ever attempted and succeeded at in the history of the human experience. How dare we not stick to those quality of life values that created the ultimate quality of life? Now, do we have problems? We only have problems because people they backed away from their responsibilities. And so I'm going to say it again, Matthew, hunternation.org. We get a hold of these licensed hunters and landowners and private property, working hard, playing hard entrepreneurs that haven't voted. And we prod them, beseech, cajole, scold. We get the conservative army to vote. That's what happened in November. I'm telling you, hunternation.org. Join us. We're a force to reckon with for real America, and that's the missing link.
Ted, do you have 4 more hours left in your schedule today that we can just keep going?
Well, thank you for that. By the way, Matthew, I'm not speaking on behalf of my hunches or guesswork. I don't have any opinions about freedom. I just know that it is perfect if you fight for it. The song, What Would Charlie Daniels Do? He was fighting for it before we even knew you had to. No American could ever think that our government would turn on us with chemtrails and poison foods and FDA and USDA and WHO and CDC, literally chemical warfare against the citizens of America. And if people think that that's an outrageous, thought, it's irrefutable. So I'm a hellraiser. Take a good look at this old guitar player. I am exactly what the Founding Fathers wanted every American to be: suspicious of all authority, demand constitutional accountability from every elected employee, school board, dog catchers, senator, congressman, chief of police, state trooper, commander, sheriff. They work for us, and so far, they're ignoring our direction that can be found in the constitutional oath. And so when I speak, I'm speaking for the shit kickers and the hell raisers that I met this morning at the hardware store, that I'm going to meet today at the grain mill. I'm going to have some sushi, and people come up to me in Ann Arbor, the home of the hash bash. And even in Ann Arbor, they come up and they say, God, Nugent, thank you for standing up. I was at your concert in 1965, and you were saying these things back then. So I'm unstoppable. Anybody wants to mess with me, bring it.
I'm with you 100,000,000%. Ted Nugent, everybody, rock star, and on the right side of history. You know, I have to ask, I know this is a tougher question in the sense of the loss of life in Texas, before I let you go here. Weather modification, weather manipulation, do you think that's what happened in Texas and New Mexico?
Yeah, you think? You think? It's been on the record. Our government has promoted and celebrated and bragged about it. And I suppose in some instances, rightly so, because drought has devastated agriculture in many regions over history. So if we can mitigate drought and bring rain, they should do it in California where they need desperate water upgrade. But it's being abused. People will look in the sky and go, well, those aren't chemtrails, except that the airplane turned it off right there. If it was a natural event coming out of a jet, they can't turn it off. I'm telling you, the conspiracy theories are not theories. There is weather manipulation, and I am not going to conclusively state that it happened in Texas in this event. But all indicators, all evidence point that way. And right now, I am virtually not trusting. I don't trust any government agency. Every alphabet soup bureaucracy is corrupt. I mean, the game departments, what Texas Parks and Wildlife is doing, the DNR and all these Midwestern states, they're jackbooted thugs that are out against the people who pay their salaries based on basic science and biology of habitat and population dynamics of wildlife to keep in the asset column. We've got an enemy in the United States of America government, and we've got to fight back because the answers are so simple. Accountability, honesty, and when it comes to wildlife and the environment, stick to the science. Dr. Fauci should be swinging from a rope from an oak tree right now. He's a genocidal maniac. And anybody that supported him with the fake attack by the communist Chinese. The communist Chinese don't let a weapon out by mistake. It didn't escape. They did that on purpose. They're going to do it again on purpose. If you wear a mask, bah, bah, It's unbelievable how stupid and weak and gullible and blindly obedient Americans have become. So once again, we're celebrating the song, What Would Charlie Daniels Do? This is what Charlie Daniels would do. I'm doing this for people like Charlie Daniels and Chesty Puller and the heroes that fought and died and came home in flag-draped coffins so that I can celebrate and demand the freedoms that they died for. Anybody want to debate me on that? You know, by the way, Matthews, nobody debates me. They're scared of me because I have all truth, logic, common sense, and unlimited evidence to support every word out of my mouth. They got nothing but lies and hate. And just look at the lies and hate they level against me. I couldn't be more proud that the unclean punks of the world lie about Ted Nugent because I've got them scared. I'm Schindler, and my Jew list is too much for the Nazis.
Ted Nugent, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the prosecutions for those that broke the law is what I think exactly what you're talking about as well, in order to save our country long term and to keep our freedoms locked in this country for all time. Sir, you are a great patriot. Thank you so much for spending the time with us, Ted. Look forward to watching more of your show and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much. For our Spirit of the Wild TV show on the Pursuit Channel 8 times a week is a riot. Shemaine and I have Real America Voice podcast. I'm a hellraiser. I'm what all Americans should be.
We are on the right side of history with you, Ted. Thanks so much, sir.
Thanks, Matthew.
Now that's what you call an interview. Ted Nugent, rock star, patriot. Ira Dean is also, he was part of Trick Pony, this band out of Nashville back in the day, now a solo artist. He's part of this whole song that we played about 20 minutes ago. So this one you might have to pause and rewind on the interview, but also on the music video. Ira is going to join us in a second. This, as we await President Trump there at the White House, as he's going to be meeting with a number of foreign leaders at 12:05 Eastern. My name is Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for joining us live right here on RSBN Live. It's 11:20 Wednesday, July 9th. Let's go to a number of sponsors before we go to Ira Dean coming up. Let's go to Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Of course, if you're looking for a free info kit on gold and silver, you can get that with Colonial Metals Group. Protect your IRA, your 401k with gold, 100% tax-free. Of course, you see there, Colonial Metals Group, the QR code as well. We can shift over to another sponsor. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Free shipping sale. We love the word free, freedom. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Speaking of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for those that believe, the My Cross there, 50% off. Also, you see a number of other products there. Free shipping, mypillow.com/RSBN. Great sponsor here at Right Side. All right. So we're going to shift over as soon as Ira Dean is on the line. We'll go to him live. And then a bit later today, TS Dixon will join us at 11:40 to give us his reaction on yesterday's cabinet meeting and also a lot of the good things within the big, beautiful bill and on. Let's go to Ira right now. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side. Man, that was quite the interview with Ted, huh?
Man, there's only one speed with Ted. Man, he goes. I just sat here and watched this and said, man, my interview is going to totally suck.
No, not at all, man. I mean, the video, first of all, let's talk about that. And before we even talk about that, let's talk about your friendship with the great Charlie Daniels. You're a longtime friend of his. I know he passed away 5 years ago this past Sunday. Talk to us about your friendship with him and how he encouraged you, maybe inspired you as well.
Well, we spent a great night last night at the Grand Ole. Caught up with everybody. Was up with Charlie Jr. and Hazel, his widow, and Charlie to me was. I wrote a song for Charlie. He was supposed to cut it, and he passed away before he did, called Jesus and John Wayne. And to me, Charlie was a little bit of Jesus and a little bit of John Wayne. I mean, he helped save my life. You know, I'm sober now. I've been sober for many, many years. But back in the day, in the Trick Pony days, I was a wild man. I was what Ted didn't want to be back in the day. And Charlie called me in his dressing room, and I was trying to get my band together, and he goes, "No, Charlie just wants to see you." And he brought me in the dressing room, and he noticed the look in my eye, and probably my hands were shaking back then because I was self-medicating pretty good back in the day. And he looked at me and goes, "I know that look in your eye, and I know that I've had those hands shake." And he goes, "There's a better way, son." He goes, "You ain't fooling me. There ain't a drug I haven't taken or a drink I haven't drank. He goes, man, I used to hang out with the Skinner boys. I know this. And he said, do you mind if I pray for you? And when you hear somebody say that, you expect them to pray for you later. And this has only happened 2 times in my life. And I said, no, go ahead. And he took his hat off and took a knee and put his hands on me, and he prayed for me to find a better way. And years later, I opened up for Charlie, and I was sober by then, and I hadn't seen Charlie since back when I was a train wreck. And he walked up to me and put his hands on my shoulders. He looked me in the eye and said, I can see you now. Look at you. And man, I'm trying not to get emotional, just think about it, man. He was a great guy. He loved God, family, country. He backed our troops, the boys in blue. He loved our Constitution, First Amendment, Second Amendment. And he loved the words written in red. And I looked up to him. He was more than a man. He was a lifestyle and a savior to me. He was great.
Man, that's awesome. That is awesome to hear that story and to see that, finding your true self within that moment, and also faith and Charlie just being the guy that it seems, I don't know if everybody knew that about Charlie Daniels. They knew that he's a patriotic guy. They know that he's on the right side of history. But as we're tackling it right here on this July 9th, 2025, to get that full context from a story like that is pretty powerful stuff. So you must feel really honored when you and Ted Nugent had the music video that we played earlier, to be a part of that, to write this song. What would Charlie Daniels do? Must be pretty awesome, isn't it?
Well, for his widow and his son to come up to me last night, and they said they teared up when they saw it, and I said it's the least I could do to pay homage to that man. And I tell you, it all started. I look at the news today, or just driving down the road. That first line of that song, getting flipped off by a guy in a Prius, it was actually a dude in a white Porsche. That's what started this. And every time I run into stuff like that, and I look out I hear somebody say something, or there's a lot of hate out there. There's just a lot of division. And I think all the time, what would Charlie do? It used to be you do your thing and I'll do mine. But now it seems like you do your thing, I'll do mine. And you're going to go out of the way to tell me why my thing is different than yours and how I should be living your thing. And that ain't how I am. Just leave me alone and let me do my thing.
Yeah. And then did you say yesterday you were at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville?
Last night, me and my wife went out there. We were invited by the Daniels family, and just a great night, just a great celebration of Charlie's life. 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years.
All right. So
and then.
Yeah, we're just having a few technical difficulties. Ira Dean of artist here, country artist, joining us live right now. And Ira, I think what we'll do is we're going to play that video once again for all the viewers that just watched Ted's interview and now yours, because I think it's just something to honor America, honor Charlie Daniels, honor you, honor Ted, because we are all on the right side of history. We really want freedom to be the way it is for our country. We want the right things to happen. We want our country to be saved. Going into those that believe in the Bible, these end times and that kind of thing. We want to be on the right side of history with all this. So, Ira, can you talk to us about that a little bit? The fact that Charlie was a man of faith, and did that encourage you? Was that part of it too for you to say, you know what, I'm gonna not take drugs and be drinking all the time and that kind of thing? Like, what was that story for you?
Man, I've there for a while. I've always been a man of faith, but when you start drinking and you innocently, you start drinking the whiskey, but sooner or later the whiskey starts drinking you, and that's what happened to me. And Charlie reminded me of my faith and how I had to get right and hit my knees, and I did, and things happened, and I don't call that a coincidence. I don't call that a coincidence at all. I mean, I tried to quit drinking for many years on my own. It didn't happen, but I tell you what, when I hit my knees and I prayed for it, it happened. And I'm just happy that the video came out, and it's number one on iTunes and all, past Lady Gaga and everybody. So I'm just glad that Charlie Daniels' message is going out there, and it's a great reminder of a great man.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's wonderful to see that video. It's wonderful to hear the context about Charlie Daniels and the fact that you were encouraged by Charlie, but also you took it upon yourself to say, you know what, God, I need your help. And he's the one that obviously created everything out of nothing. So the people that are like, oh, it's weak to pray to God, it's like, wait a minute. He created everything out of nothing. I mean, this is someone you want to go to, right?
I tell you, it's you have to have thick skin in the music business to be a conservative and a Christian. And you have to have your give a damn's got to be on E. And thank God my dad raised a man that has both of those qualities. I got thick skin and my give a damn's on E. And I have faith. I believe in the good Lord upstairs. And I believe in our country. And if they don't like it, they can leave me alone.
What you, Ira Dean, and Ted Nugent just spoke about over the past 28 minutes sums up we the people, sums up the right side of history, sums up just telling it like it is, genuine from your heart. You know, we're not reading scripts right now. Isn't that what we need to see more of in this country, not only from President Trump, we see that with Carolyn Leavitt and Stephen Miller and others, but we the people, we outnumber all of everybody anyway. I mean, the majority of our country is on the right side of history. Just your thoughts about that moving forward as we do have the midterm elections in 26, as we're going to have another president come in, and hopefully it's on the right side of history, whoever that is.
Well, I kind of lived life by, growing up, I grew up in a different time, just like you, just like Ted, where there was a line between right and wrong. There was a thin line, and there was right and wrong as bold as letters on a page. And now there seems to be right and wrong divided by like a gray area that's 2 miles wide. And I think at the end of the day, it's right or wrong. What's right and what's wrong? And we got to start doing the right things and living right and coming together. And there's a lot of people letting a lot of evil stuff living in their head rent free, and they need to get rid of that, and we need to come together.
That's right.
But do the right thing. It's really easy. There's truth, lie, right, and wrong. I don't see anything else.
It's such a great point. Both you and Ted today, the words that both of you have spoken today have been what I and others here at the network have spoken at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's great to hear from people that are solo artists like yourself and Ted to say the same thing that we're saying, and for people to really get on board with it. So, Ira, just any last words here as it's the bottom of the hour, 11:30 on this Wednesday, July 9th, that you'd like to share with the people before we play, once again, that video, What Would Charlie Daniels Do?, starring you, Ira Dean, and Ted Nugent. Sir, you have the floor.
Matthew, I want to thank Ted, too, for just... But, part of the proceeds of this song go to the Journey Home Project. That was Charlie Daniels' charity, the Journey Home Project, and it helps military personnel transition back into civilian life. And so we're giving part of the proceeds to that. So please, if you like the song, go download it and wanted it that way. And I thank you for speaking truth, logic, and common sense, Matthew. And thanks for having me on.
100%. Ira Dean, sir, thank you again. Hope to see you perform sometime in Nashville. That'd be kind of awesome. Ira, thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so why don't we go right to that, as it's 11:31. In about 10 minutes, TS Dixon, the conservative author and analyst, will join us to get his reaction on the 24/7 news cycle. Before we get towards that, why don't we play that video once again? This is the song, What Would Charlie Daniels Do?, brought to you by Ira Dean. He was in Trick Pony back in the day. And of course, Ted Nugent, the great rock star himself. Let's take a look together.
This one's for Charlie Daniels. I was trucking up the highway, minding my own lane, with some dude in a Prius went and flipped me off. Guess my redneck hit him wrong. Seems like everyone these days is a ticking time bomb full of hate for folks like me who don't agree and ain't ever gonna change. And it gets me thinking, leave this long-haired country boy alone, and I start that line in the song, Sweet Home Alabama. I hope Neil Young will remember. A Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Yeah, I'm one of them, don't give a damn, live off the land, Ted Nugent fan, hair to my shoulder, country all over. Daddy was a soldier, so if you find yourself way out here where the back roads wind to me and mine, why don't you stop by, meet the wife, grab a beer, Lord knows you're gonna hear. Leave this long-haired country boy alone, and I start singing along to that line in the song, Sweet Home Alabama. I hope Neil Young will remember. A Southern man don't need him around anyhow. Take it, Ted. Leave this long-haired country boy alone, and I start singing along to the line in the song, Sweet Home Alabama. I hope Neil Young will remember. A Southern man don't need him around anyhow.
Great song. Wonderful song. What Would Charlie Daniels Do? You can listen on wherever you have your musical platforms. I have Spotify, so I'll be getting that song on there right away. All right, let's shift gears. We are going to see President Trump in just a little bit from now. Of course, he's having a luncheon with some world leaders at about 12:05 Eastern. In about 5 minutes from now, we'll go to TS Dixon, the conservative analyst and author. In the meantime, a little bit of breaking news here at Right Side Broadcasting Network from All Family Pharmacy. Of course, known for standing up for medical freedom. They just launched their biggest sale of the year, now through July 13th. It's buy one, get one free on ivermectin, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine, the 200 milligram amount there. So that means whatever you order, they'll double it. 30 capsules is 60, 90 becomes 180. No insurance, no red tape, doctor's prescription included. Now, while big chains will shut you out, All Family Pharmacy is stepping up, giving patriots just like you the power to choose these products here. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can act now to protect your health. The buy one, get one free on ivermectin and other medications ends July 13th. Let's also go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. If you're looking to bet and trade on all sorts of topics out there, pretty much it's a smorgasbord, as they say. You just go to Kalshi.com. You could slide at the top bar there. It'll say science, technology, politics, sports, music, all sorts of things that people talk about. So you can check that out if you'd like. Also, the Kalshi app's great. Kalshi.com is great as well. Go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's also go to one more sponsor before we get to our live interview, angelpaste.com. Use the RSBN promo code. That'll go a long way for a lot of great discounts there at Angel Paste. There's a lot of products on Angel Paste. You can get the percentage off using the RSBN promo code. Out of Spring, Texas, the military hiring that happens there, it's always great to see that when it comes to small businesses across our country. So shout out to all of the owners at the small businesses around our country, whatever business it is, but also to those that work at all of these small businesses. It's the backbone of our economy is Small Business USA. So my wife and I were actually on recent mini trip, and we saw Main Street in one of the towns in Alabama, and I looked up, it said West Main Street. I said, you know what, this is about Main Street. It's about all of us. It's our country. It's we the people, and we love it. And it's great to have people that are on the right side of history, including people like the Secretary of Defense here, Pete Hegseth. We're going to see a video with him and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, earlier, they were outside when there was the initial greeting that happened. Both national anthems played. Well, we have some video from inside during their meeting. It's a few minutes long. As soon as that's done, we'll bring on our next guest.
How are you? Good to see you. Secretary. Yeah, of course. Yeah. We meet at the end. Yes, exactly. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting together. Yeah, looking forward to it. So, yeah, and your arm is.
Did you know how many times I've been in this room?
You'd have to tell me. Possibly more than me.
But not with that picture on the wall. Not with that picture on the wall.
Not with that picture, and not without Eric Carilla down there at the end of the table. Not with that.
And thank you. Absolute thanks and gratitude and admiration for CENTCOM, for the U.S. military, for the Secretary of Defense, and the President of the United States. Magnificent. You have the gratitude of the people of Israel, and the state of Israel, and I think of many, many others around the world. So, first thing, thank you.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate, there's a reason I pointed at Eric, and I know you recognize him too, because the skill and the bravery and the courage of U.S. forces involved in that operation, including in the defense of Israel, whether it was in the Mediterranean or with THAAD batteries or others, was incredible. And so CENTCOM played he did it in his own quiet way, but just incredibly effective. And so it was an honor to be a part of it. And what you, after 60 days of negotiation, President Trump was very clear. After 60 days, he gave them every opportunity, and then Operation Rising Lion took place. And the skill of your professionals, what was accomplished, was absolutely incredible. The precision with which you went at the nuclear capabilities, and then the opportunity we had through those B-2 pilots, the F-32 or F-35, F-22, F-15 pilots that accompanied the refuelers to help put the finishing touches, you might say, on those facilities. It was an honor to be a part of it. Appreciate your partnership, the leadership of your team, sending a message to the world, not just to Iran, not just to them and their nuclear capabilities, but those B-2 pilots sent a message to the world as well.
They gird the globe. I think the entire world took note. I think Iran took note. And I think everybody in the Middle East took note of American resolve and of the strength of our alliance. I think it was, frankly, it was like the roar of two lions. And it was heard around the world. So thank you again, and our admiration for everything that you did, and our appreciation for it, and gratitude. Thank you.
The feeling is mutual. We appreciate it. Thank you for being a friend, a model ally, and showing leadership and strength. You can have a lot of allies, and then you have allies with capabilities that actually execute on the front lines. And what you did was spectacular. So thank you for being here.
Well, the heroism of our pilots, of our soldiers, and frankly, the heroism of our people. It's the heroism of the people. You get the strength from the people, as you do. So we're blessed with two great free societies that have joined together. And, But your role, I think, is historic, and will have historic consequences for peace. I always say that President Trump and I always talk about peace through strength. First comes strength, then comes the peace. And we hope we'll realize the fruits of strength very soon in peace.
And I can attest to that, being privy to not all, but many of those conversations. It does start with strength, but it always goes to peace. And we have that opportunity in the region because of your efforts and the efforts of our president. So thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Press.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you, Press.
As you saw there at the top right of your corner moments ago from the Pentagon in Virginia, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth speaking with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's go to a couple sponsors before we go to our next guest. Also at 12 o'clock, 12:05 to be exact, according to the president's public schedule, is when that luncheon will be with a number of African leaders there at the White House. So we'll be headed there soon. In the meantime, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. More than 2,000 products to choose from on this great website. A lot of great products too. And my family and I, we have a number of them. We have to order a few more as well. And if you'd like to, you can get free shipping if you just order at mypillow.com/RSBN. Wonderful products. I mean, my coffee to the My Pillows, all sorts of stuff there. More than 2,000 products to choose from. All right. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, of course, we're your live coverage of President Donald Trump's second term. We're bringing you presidential events, White House press briefings, and the news that matters to conservatives, of course, and pretty much anybody because it's on the right side of history. You can like and share this broadcast and be sure to subscribe. So hit the notification bell so you never miss when we're live. You could follow us on social media by searching RSB Network and sign up for exclusive updates at the newsletter as well. So if you love what we do, all you have to do to support us is to go to rsbnetwork.com/donate or text RSBN to that number you see on your screen, 801-801. Also, you can always text if you'd like to send in a check. We're hearing that some people want to send in a check. There's a P.O. box to do that. And then you can hit pause after I say it, just in case you need to write it down. It's 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you for your support here at Right Side Broadcasting Network as we're on the right side of history, conservative media, part of that whole group that's growing more than mainstream media is. The people are seeing through all the lies of the mainstream media over the years. And now we're kind of like, oh, wait, we thought they were real reporters and real anchors and real correspondents, and they sounded all real, but they really weren't. They were just lying to us the whole time. Hopefully they're getting to see the right side of history, and maybe they'll switch over and be like, you know what, you're right, I was wrong, I'm sorry. I don't know. But maybe they're just evil. I don't know either. So anyway, let's bring in TS Dixon right now, the conservative analyst and author. Sir, your thoughts on the 24/7, speaking of news, the news cycle right now. There's a lot going on, as you know. A lot of MAGA voices are saying certain things about yesterday's cabinet meeting. So I'm just going to give you the floor. Your thoughts about yesterday's cabinet meeting.
Well, I want to continue to heap praise on to Trump and his administration. They're accomplishing record-breaking feats. It's almost like his first term where there were so many wins and so much progress being made that you almost couldn't keep track of it. And it was like the new normal, like just constant, amazing winning just became commonplace. And we're seeing that again now. I mean, he is just hitting grand slam after grand slam. And I think that Noam and FEMA are doing a great job down in Texas with the horrendous flooding, the tragic flooding and loss of life down there. So they're doing a great job there. But we have, another MAGA controversy with the Trump administration with the Epstein files. And so we seem to be having a string of these with the Iranian conflict and now this. And this is a really important one, though.
So tell us your thoughts about that. I mean, we know that back on February 11th, I'm going to pull it up quickly here and just read from some of my notes so I get it exactly right. Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna announced a federal secrets declassification task force. So she was on camera at a press conference saying, hey, we're going to be very truthful and transparent here. The JFK, RFK, MLK assassinations, the information there. She said the Epstein files. And then we also heard about this client list. documents about UFOs, the 9/11 files, and the COVID files. These are not my words. That was from the representative back in February. So we did hear, I mean, the common sense of it, I think, is, okay, we heard that there was an Epstein list out there and all that. President Trump saying yesterday, why are we focusing on that when there's a lot of other things going on? And to your point, there's a lot of wins going on. But it seems that MAGA, a number of people in MAGA and conservative voices want more to be known about these investigations. Am I wrong?
No, this is a big miscalculation, I think. As Trump's looking at all the issues like the economy and peace and his different legislative wins, tax breaks, these are all priorities for the MAGA movement and the American First agenda. But if you rank them all, these are like level 8, 9, 10, 12 on the priority list. And I think that when he was looking at the Epstein documents or, Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and whatnot, they're thinking that this is like a 30th priority item or a 45th priority item. When in the mind of MAGA, this is a number 1 or number 2 priority item. And so by them just issuing the statement and releasing a memo from the FBI that was not signed, we don't know who it came from, and contradicting many other statements they'd previously made and many official reports that had come out since his alleged suicide in prison, this is creating mass confusion, mass doubt. And the two big things that the MAGA movement is relying on is one is open transparency and trust. They need to be able to trust that what the administration is saying. In the last administration with the Biden administration, it was just constant lying. And there was no integrity there. And it was just gaslighting and propaganda. And the hope is that with this administration, what we're going to get is the truth. We're going to get nothing but honesty and transparency and accountability. But the big issue is, and I'll keep going back to this point, is that this conflict, this administration, the MAGA movement, is about one thing. It is a populist movement to undo and break the reins of power of the current Western oligarchical power structure, the Western establishment, which is a massive central banking and Wall Street banking and multinational corporate government cabal. And this is the special interests that have done everything from manipulating our agencies, infiltrating our institutions, corrupting, blackmailing, and bribing our officials, and perverting justice in the West. And they're driving things like the woke agenda and the riots and the unrest and the illegal immigration. And so the people have had enough, but that's what the MAGA movement is, and these other movements across the world. These are populist uprisings to break this establishment power over the West. Now, why is Jeffrey Epstein so important? Well, Jeffrey Epstein was running an intelligence network blackmail operation for this group and with this group, and also running blackmail on many members of this group. And so by unleashing the evidence about the Jeffrey Epstein operation, you basically pull the thread that pulls the sweater apart of this establishment group. There's other stories in the news, like the 300,000 missing illegal alien children from the Biden era. That's another thread that if you pull it, it starts to unravel this entire story and expose these people. And so this is a reform movement. Again, there have been 3 great reform movements in the West. The first was the thing that brought us out of the Dark Ages, which was the Reformation, out from 1,000 years of rule by the papacy and the monarchies. The second one was 1776 against the British Empire, the East India Company, the Bank of England, and their spy networks. And now, 250 years later, we are in the third great movement against the Western establishment, which is this banking cartel that has been in power since really 1913, and then into they solidified their power in the 40s. And so the people are trying to throw this group off of them, and they are using things like blackmail sex operations like Jeffrey Epstein and others like P. Diddy. And this is all being done in coordination with the CIA, Mossad, probably the FBI. And so it's not surprising they don't want to incriminate themselves. Who does? Who wants to incriminate themselves? But what the Trump administration has to understand is that this is a top priority for MAGA. Because if we don't break the power of these people and we don't have our reforms, then they'll come back into power after he's gone, and then things will most likely be worse than they were before.
So you're simply saying justice to be served and to exploit those that have broken the law, that if they aren't arrested or prosecuted and arrested, then you're saying we could swing back to something that you're saying 10 times worse than Biden.
It's very possible. So that's why integrity, honesty, truthfulness is so imperative right now. And also for the DOJ, the FBI, and the CIA to go after these corrupt government officials and those associated with these efforts, and that crime would be punished. Because what this looks like is, it looks like that they're covering up the operation, protecting people, and worst of all, protecting criminals. You know, Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sex trafficking, as was Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving over 20 years in prison for that crime. However, we don't know, there's no information, none of the evidence has been released about who they were trafficking to. Now this memo comes out, said there was no trafficking, there was no one else involved. Pam Bondi comes out and says there's 10,000 videos plus. She has a press conference, says there's over 10,000 videos of Jeffrey Epstein with children. Now she's saying at yesterday's briefing that it was child pornography that he downloaded from the internet. When the FBI's, going in and raiding all his properties and pulling out video cameras, hard drives, zip drives, VHS tapes, and then this evidence goes missing. So it's very hard to believe. There's a lot of contradictory statements, and I don't think the story's going to go away. The people in MAGA that are upset about this, they're not going to let it go. I think that this is only going to get, the temperature's going to rise higher and higher on this. So I really, really would advise the Trump administration to backstep, to course correct here, and also it's possible that we might need to see a change in leadership at the DOJ.
And some people have said some of the similar things that I've seen out there. On the other side of the coin, you were saying that the Epstein list would be one of the number one things as a priority from MAGA, but you're saying that the Trump administration doesn't have that as high, and there's a number of other things that are above that. Do people agree with that? I don't know. I mean, I think about it. I think of freedom. I think of the Constitution. I think of saving our country. I think of law and order. I think of justice being served. But to your point, though, it seems like it's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to anything with Epstein, no? When it comes to finding out any deep state globalist connections that are trying to destroy our country, right?
Trump vowed, he gave a speech because they raided his house with the FBI. They brought up false charges and tried to lock him in Rikers Island for 1,000 years. Then they tried to kill him. And all of these are very questionable, especially the Thomas Crook story. It's very questionable. There's a lot of question marks haven't been answered. And so with these people going after him, Trump gave a speech that he's going to dismantle the deep state. Well, dismantling the deep state is easy to do. It's easier than people think. Go out and expose all the people involved with Jeffrey Epstein, including the agencies. And you know what? If our agencies were involved in these criminal acts against children, let the public know. We may need to dissolve these agencies if they become criminal organizations. We can't have criminal organizations operating at the federal level of the United States of America. And that may be a consequence of releasing this information. That's okay. That's a good outcome because we're cleaning up the swamp. That was another promise. So it's actually very easy to dismantle the deep state. Just expose all the Jeffrey Epstein information. Or also, and on top of that, go out and save all those 321,000 missing children and then let the public know who had them, what happened to them. Let's hear the testimony. Let's see the evidence. That also will lead greatly to this deep state, this trafficking of children. And it will make the Trump administration look like heroes because they are saving and rescuing these kids from horrible, horrible situations. And so that's how you do it. These are his promises. And really, for his reforms to be permanent, this is an extremely necessary step. You know, when Dan Bongino and Kash Patel were really on the viewpoint of MAGA, they get into the administration, into the FBI, and now all of a sudden they're giving interviews and doing media tours to say nothing happened, he killed himself, there's no evidence here. And then we're going to release this video. We get the video, there's a minute missing from it, which is questionable as well. Also looks like a contradiction. And then it's not even a video of the cell. This is another video from outside of the cell block, of like the guard station and the door leading into the area, I believe, where his cell was. However, the predominant theory of how this went down is that they placed another criminal in another cell near him, and then as the guards fell asleep and the cameras within the cell block were disabled or malfunctioning, then they unlocked the doors and allowed that other criminal come out and commit the murder and then go back into his cell. But we don't have that footage. And this footage wouldn't negate that whatsoever. That's the predominant theory of how this could have gone down. And we had another medical examiner, one of the top in the world, was hired by Epstein's family to examine his body, and he said it was homicide. And no one's speaking to that. You know, when Joe Rogan interviewed Kash Patel on his podcast and brought this up, Kash Patel was unaware that this other autopsy had been done. So there's a lot of questions here. It looks bad, and it's only going to get worse. I really would advise, I mean, we are fully supportive of the Trump administration, and I would just advise them to course correct here. This is not a level 30 or 45 priority. For MAGA, this is level 1 or 2. This is the deep state. This is the establishment.
And to your point, Ted Nugent speaking about this within the hour, bringing up the Epstein situation when it happened at the cabinet meeting yesterday. So we see that people are talking about this. And that's one thing I have said time and time again here at Right Side, is when you're on the truth train, the MAGA train, the right side of history, the common sense reporting, we have a decision to make. Do we stick with what we see true when it comes to receipts and evidence and the desire, to your point, to see more wins from the Trump administration? Or do we kind of go, oh no, this is the moment where what do? Do we cover for a No, we're going for we the people, and we want more wins by President Trump. And I agree with what you're saying, TS Dixon. Also, the Fox reported that the FBI has launched a criminal investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey, focusing on their roles in the government's handling of allegations of that whole Russian interference bogus stuff in the 2016 presidential election against, according to reports. So we're seeing that the FBI is now making a move against some of these so-called deep staters. What do you think about that move after yesterday's situation?
I think it's a good start. But I will say my confidence is shaken in, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi's ability to perform this job correctly. So we might have a real investigation. Hopefully we'll have a real investigation with real justice, because we already have the evidence. You almost don't even need an investigation. We have so much evidence with Crossfire Hurricane that it was a conspiracy. It was a political coup within the United States of America for them to overthrow a duly elected president and displace him from office illegally. And there's no statute of limitations for a conspiracy, so I'm glad they're investigating. But will this be yet another cover-up? They will do an investigation, then cover up for these actors? I don't know. I get it that there's dealing that has to be done and there's deals that are made. I understand that. There's compromises that have to be done. It is a democracy. However, when it comes to this is so essential to his reforms. Really, we have to keep in mind who Trump is. He is the populist champion. He is the charismatic leader charging the way for the populist movement worldwide throughout the West. To disrupt this power establishment that's been in control for 100 years and break their monopoly of power over Western countries. And this is extremely essential that this happen now. And so he is there to fulfill that role, and it's an amazing role within history. So it would be a great shame for him to negotiate with these people. There's no need. He has all of the cards. Again, there's no need. This is a master negotiator. There's no need for him to negotiate with them.
100%. TS Dixon, thanks so much for your insight, your analysis. TS Dixon, conservative analyst and author. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks. See ya.
12:03, Wednesday, July 9th, here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, as we are live awaiting a feed from the White House there. We know that the president will be meeting with a number of leaders there, African leaders, for a luncheon that's scheduled for 12:05 Eastern. So a couple minutes out, and as soon as we see a live feed, we'll take you there live on Right Side. So again, if you missed any of our coverage today, we started at 10 this morning. We had the great Ted Nugent join us, Ira Dean, the solo artist, as well, as they just released a new song honoring the life of Charlie Daniels. It was wonderful to play that music video and to hear from Ted Nugent and Ira Dean. So if you missed those interviews, you can always watch it on replay or scrub back and check it out later. And also, that was just TS Dixon. So if you're just joining us, you can maybe watch a lot of the interviews, because a lot of what we do here is the coverage of what's happening live, right? That's why it's called RSBN Live. We're going to bring you to the White House there live. We saw the Pentagon at around 10:30 live. We get that. And we also bring up different stories that are happening out there in the 24/7 news cycle. Of course, the tragic floods in central Texas. And now there are floods that happened in New Mexico. We're monitoring the latest on those things, but also, of course, with the interviews, we dive a little deeper into what's going on out there, and that's what you call a broadcast, a news broadcast, especially one that is from a free, an honorable press, where it's not left-wing mainstream media false narrative talking points that's trying to dupe the American people and public opinion. It's instead doing quite the opposite. I'm an American citizen, just like many of you that are watching, on the right side of history. So we the people, it is always going to be about what is true and what is on the right side of history. So yeah, is anybody perfect? No. But the thing is Jesus is, and for forgiveness of sin, but also just to have a new creation, to move on with your journey in life and to do your best. And that's really what this is all about in this country, is for us to do our best and to really kick butt as much as we can. If you want to watch that Ted Nugent interview, please do. Quite the interview earlier today. Around 11 o'clock that happened. So, all right, let's go to a couple sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, 12:05 Eastern Time. You see All Family Pharmacy right there. Let's go to that script quickly, as we know that this is some breaking news with RSBN, as All Family Pharmacy is known for standing up for medical freedom. They just launched their biggest sale of the year. It's now through July 13th. So it's buy one, get one free on ivermectin, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine. That means whatever you order, they'll double it. So that means 30 capsules goes to 60, 90 becomes 180. No insurance needed, no red tape, doctor's prescription is included. So while the big chains shut you out, All Family Pharmacy steps up, giving patriots the power to choose. So it's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. That buy one, get one free offer ends July 13th. All right, so 12:06, Wednesday, July 9th. Let's see if there's any posts by anybody online when it comes to Truth Social. We see a few new posts from President Trump in regards to a number of the nations that are part of the trade deals. We also see 30 minutes ago from the Commander-in-Chief that Nevada on Saturday, July 12th, he's saying to get out and vote for Michael J. McDonald for chair of the Republican Party and the entire executive board. We had a historic win in Nevada in November, and these great American patriots will continue to fight tirelessly to secure Republican victories in 2026 and beyond. They are fantastic. Thank you, Nevada. I'm reading from President Trump's post that was about 30 minutes ago, as we are live right here on Right Side, and as we await a live feed there to the White House. In the meantime, let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed, so join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. Looking live there at the White House. I believe that is the Blue Room at the White House, where President Trump will have lunch with a number of world leaders, members of heads of state from the continent of Africa. So that's happening here shortly as we have a live feed there. As soon as we see some of the leaders enter the Blue Room there at the White House, we'll go there live as we are getting ready to have that from in its entirety, from the start to the finish. We're not going to interrupt, of course, anytime the president's speaking, and also when it comes to various events, including press briefings by Carolyn Levitt and other events that we cover here at Right Side. So again, let's go through a little bit of the schedule for the week. We know that on Friday, President Trump will be going to Central Texas, of course, on the heels of what happened there with the tragic situation of more than 100 of our citizens, 100 Americans that lost their lives because of this flash flood that hit on July 4th. And then into New Mexico now, if you're looking at videos and staying up on weather and just news in general, I mean, you saw some of the videos of houses just being washed away, literally washed away. And we're not talking about small houses. We're talking about decent-sized homes just washed away, just like it's nothing there. So, and a lot of people talking about how in the world that can happen. And we dove into some of those topics earlier in the broadcast. So, again, we started at 10 this morning. Looking forward to seeing the president there with a number of these leaders for this luncheon. We saw a little bit of that live feed there. So as soon as we see it again, in the sense of seeing the president or any of the heads of state from these various countries in the continent of Africa, we will send it there live. So in the meantime, we'll see if any reporters will have any questions for the president there, if that's going to be something that happens. Usually maybe during a luncheon, that might not happen. We'll see. And yesterday at that cabinet meeting, I didn't know if it was going to be one of those cabinet meetings where the president speaks for a little bit, and there's a Q&A with the reporters, and then the media is shifted out of the room, and then it's simply the meeting without press involved. Well, yesterday was just like the 5th cabinet meeting, yesterday being the 6th, where the press was able to be a part of the meeting. And we heard a number of points made there, including from Kristi Noem, who started out the cabinet meeting talking about Texas. Remember, she was the first person from the federal government, boots on the ground there in Texas, in that Kerrville area, when things started to get really bad there when it comes to those catastrophic floods. Just a time of mourning right now in Central Texas when it comes to all of the victims' families. But even if you're not one of the families, just being a family in that state, knowing somebody that knew somebody, or even just in general, I mean, as a nation, I don't know about you, but I was at the store the other day with my wife. We were just shopping. I was just really hit hard with just some of that, of what it's like, of what they may have they dealt with there, because I've lost in my life suddenly. My dad passed away in a motorcycle accident back in 2007. And it was obviously tragic and very difficult to deal with, and it's not easy to talk about, of course, but I knew that God's presence was with me, and I could sense his power. And I know that he's real, right? So it's good to have that comfort, and that's what the White House Faith Office was talking about as well when it comes to people that would lose somebody suddenly like that in Texas. So and then my wife and I, we have an 8-month-old now, and just being a dad, first-time dad, and just thinking about what happened, there's just a lot, So over the weekend, it was not easy, even though, we're over in a different state and not in Central Texas, didn't know anybody that passed away. But your heart, when we say it on, when people type on Truth Social or X, my heart breaks for, or prayers for, I believe that is a genuine thing that's happening. People are really like, hey, this is a really tough thing that obviously we know just on paper it's terrible, but that you actually sense it, feel it, and feel it in a deeper way than just, oh, that happened in Texas, I'm going to move on with my day. And that's part of what we can do. I mean, we can't think about everything in the whole world. I get it. You just can't. Only God can really do that. But yeah, it hit me really hard for some, well, I know why. It just hit me really hard about this whole Texas situation. And now to see New Mexico getting hit with this flood too, this flash flood. And if whether you're into the conspiracies or not, like a lot of times conspiracy theories turn out to be true, interestingly enough. And, when we look at weather modification or manipulation, I sure hope to God that this wasn't something that was done in that sense of Texas and New Mexico. I'm just going to call it like it is. Why not? You'd rather that than somebody reading a script, right? So Ted Nugent was on the line earlier live with us, and he says, you think? Saying it was definitely that. MTG's on some shows talking about this, and just because people talk about it doesn't mean it's true. No, but there's receipts and evidence when it comes to certain things going on in the history of things like HAARP, H-A-A-R-P. You can look up that if you'd like on Wikipedia and other places. But anyway, getting on a rabbit trail there, but back to the point of, being here for the American people is what it's all about here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So when we say we love you, America, we love you, America. We mean it, and we're here for we the people. And just as Ted Nugent was talking about it before, I don't care whether you are white collar, whether you're blue collar, whether you're no collar, doesn't matter. This is we the people in action right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's go back to the cabinet meeting from yesterday. There's a few clips we can play as we await this live picture from the White House. Specifically, let's go to when President Trump was talking about Texas and the fact that he's going to be there on Friday. So let's go back and play a few of those clips as we await the president to meet with the leaders, foreign leaders there for this luncheon. So as soon as we see that live feed, we'll go there. But in the meantime, let's just replay yesterday, just a couple clips from President Trump. Let's start out with the Central Texas situation.
I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady, who will be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and it's probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. I mean, they're thinking there could be the possibility, but what a tragic situation. A good job, and we'll see you on Friday.
So obviously a big news day yesterday with the cabinet meeting, President Trump talking about Texas, and then now we see that whole New Mexico situation where there's a flash flood. So will the president be going to New Mexico as well? It depends on, I guess, the outcome of what happened there in New Mexico. Okay, let's go to a sponsor before we go to a few more clips as we're standing by now to take you to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Colonial Metals Group. So all you have to do is go to freegoldguy.com/RSBN. You can use the QR code that you see right there on your screen as well. It takes you to the same site. It's all about protecting your IRA and your 401k with gold, 100% tax-free, and also, putting your money and making it turn into gold there when it comes to the switch, the exchange between Colonial Metals Group and your dollars. So protect your IRA, 401k with gold, 100% tax-free, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Also, if you want to go to callshe.com/RSBN, you can bet and trade on anything you'd like, really. I mean, if you look at the website or the app, there's so many different topics to look at there, whether it's science or technology or weather or faith, politics, all sorts of things. But then also, that's just a 30,000-foot view. It gets more specific into things. You see at the bottom there, will Elon Musk create a new political party this year? 36% chance, that kind of thing. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but that's callshe.com/RSBN here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as it's 12:18. And when you think of a third party, I think he's wasted time on that, even though I want Elon and President Trump to be friends once again, to join forces again. But when it comes to an America party, I think we already have an America party. It's called MAGA. Make America Great Again. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right, so 12:18, Wednesday, July 9th. Let's go to some more of President Trump's cabinet meeting from yesterday. We have a few more clips. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill, international trade, and also President Trump's stance against the mainstream media. Of course, we know, coining that whole fake news thing back in the day. And if you're just joining us now, we spoke about all sorts of issues and all sorts of topics when it comes to the news that's happening out there. So trust me, you might want to check out this broadcast when it comes to all of the interviews that we had since 10 a.m. up until this point here. And then we'll take you to the White House in just a bit. All right, so let's go to the big, beautiful law. President Trump speaking about that a bit yesterday, I believe with the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, as well.
They gave us no credit during this last little, the great, big, beautiful bill. I always use the word great. I add that to it because it really is what it is. It's never been anything like it, actually. And I want to thank all the Republicans that voted for it. And I want to, scold the Democrats because they're voting for tax cuts. They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and many, many other things far more important than that. Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election because it was purely political vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got 218-2. And then with the Senate, we had 50-3. Democrats didn't vote at all, not one positive vote, with all of the good things in there. Economic development money, tremendous border money. Now you're loaded up on the border. And I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money because the wall's been largely built. And it obviously worked, but you may want to think about that. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats, and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. They make things up and they go with it, and they feed it to you people in many cases. And they said, "Here's a line," and I hear the new line is death. Oh, it's death. Everyone's going to die. Has nothing to do with that. In fact, we're saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone cold, hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing people to come in here just totally unchecked, unvetted, open borders, open borders. The whole world was dumped into our country from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We have many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about, that came out of insane asylums. They released the insane asylum population into our country, and it's amazing the job that you and Tom Homan are doing, by the way, on that. But we have to get them out. And we have no choice. We have to get them out, and we are getting them out.
All right, so that from just within the 24/7 news cycle, we're still waiting for that live feed to pick back up there at the White House. The president and the world leaders have not started that luncheon yet, in the sense of from a live camera perspective. So we saw the live camera earlier. It was a number of empty chairs at that point with our American flag and a number of the various nations that will be represented for this luncheon. So as soon as we see something, we'll go to it here live on the network. In the meantime, why don't we go to something that happened at 10:30 Eastern, and just in case we have a bunch of new viewers since then, which I believe we do, let's see the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, greeting the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu outside of the Pentagon. Take a look.
Turn! Right shoulder, arms. Ready, up. Excuse me.
Okay, that happened about 2 hours ago, live outside of the Pentagon. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, meeting with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. And then we also saw the two, for about 5 minutes, meet inside. They spoke for about that 5 minutes, so we may go to that video as well, as we are still standing by awaiting the President of the United States, along with a number of world leaders from the continent of Africa for the luncheon. So as soon as we see that, and then we'll see if the President will take any questions, whether it's before the luncheon, during it, after it. So we'll just monitor that as we see it, as it's the bottom of the hour, 12:30, Wednesday, July 9th. We also know that there are a few other topics that were discussed during that cabinet meeting yesterday. If you're just joining us, we covered pretty much most of them, or at least the ones that a lot of people are talking about. You can check out our coverage over the past couple hours if you'd like. A lot of great interviews with Ted Nugent, Ira Dean, the solo artist, TS Dixon pretty recently. So just to hear what they have to say about just everything that's going on and why they're patriots in this country and on the right side of history. And then also we saw, of course, the greeting there between the Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and the Israeli leaders. So what we can do is we can go to that video from inside the Pentagon in just a minute. Before we do that, let's wrap up some of the different sound bites or different clips from yesterday's cabinet meeting. We have two more to go. On international trade, the President was talking about that yesterday. Then also the President was talking about the mainstream media. So let's talk about the international trade, and let's go to that right now.
Yes, sir. We will have taken in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariff, the major tariff not having started till the second quarter. So we could expect that could be well over $300 billion by the end of the year. We don't agree with CBO scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at $2.8 trillion, which we think is probably low.
Okay, so this Department of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent speaking yesterday about all of the trade that's happening. Of course, President Trump, just like President McKinley when it comes to the trade efforts, President Trump, of course, surpassing President McKinley in a number of ways when it comes to trade throughout the globe. So also we heard from President Trump speaking about the mainstream media yesterday, the good old mainstream media. Let's take a look.
But they were a little downbeat because they listened to that fake CNN reporting and the fake New York Times. They worked together to try and say that it wasn't perfect. They couldn't say what they missed. All they could say is, maybe it wasn't perfect. And you ought to fire that reporter immediately. You should fire her. Real fake. And so I just want to congratulate those pilots. And, you know, a lot of people don't like bringing things like that up. I do. I always like confronting, because otherwise the public doesn't know that you're a bunch of crooked people. But they know, they've learned. And the media has to straighten out their act. You know, the media is down to 17% approval. You got to do a little better than that. It's important for the country that you do better. I think they ought to make a lot of changes. I think changes are going to be made to the media, but it's hard to have a really successful country if you have a corrupt media, and we really have a corrupt media. And nobody really knows why. I mean, why would you want to have open borders and criminals pouring into our country? Why would you want to have men playing in women's sports, transgender for everyone? You know, you'll have to figure that out. But some of you don't. I mean, I'm looking at some people, they love the country, but I look at other people and they can't. But we're really proud of our military.
Welcome back as we're live here at 12:32. Of course, that was from yesterday's cabinet meeting as we're in the 24/7 news cycle, monitoring the latest news from the White House, and also various topics that are being discussed throughout the interwebs, as they used to call them, I guess. All right, so it's 12:32. Once again, as we await the President of the United States, we know that at 12:05 was part of that public schedule for him to meet with a number of foreign leaders for a luncheon. So as soon as we see that feed once again, we'll take you there. In the meantime, looking at various posts on Truth Social, President Trump posting a number of articles when it comes to various wins in the administration, but also to a number of various world leaders in regards to trade. So You can check that out if you'd like on Truth Social. In the meantime, let's shift gears as we continue to await the Commander-in-Chief. You know, one of the first things President Trump did when he became the 47th president was to say that there is a national emergency on the southern border. So what we do know is that the military was sent there and is still there. And I believe the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security recently visited the southern border. Here's that video from the DOD.
What we were dealing with and what we're dealing with now. This right here was 2023. This is just last year. This is nothing crazy. And now you're looking at clean levee area. This is the river. So they're waiting to come in. They've been helped. They're here.
Iraq 06, 07 years. Okay, I understand that. I feel like we kind of missed out a little bit, but I'm
also encountered with reach right there. We don't have a lot of agents on ground. We want to be able to turn them back here before they even have a thought of crossing over. We just turn this on and we hit the alert. Obviously, you could go all the way up to the red right there, and that's just halfway up to.
So these are very important for us too, sir, because we do have drones from the cartel flying over too, so they can also have a payload of drugs on there. So it's very important that we stop them.
Okay, so that was a little bit of inside baseball, just obviously raw video just put together in just from a recent trip by the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security meeting with the military along the southern border. If you've been following any of the Truth Social posts that I post on that great site, I do post a lot about the southern border and just seeing all these visuals of, you know, Army strikers riding along the border there and seeing Customs Border Protection doing the work that they do to secure, seal, and close that border. So great to see that there on the southern border. Also, we see that within the northern border and out there in the open sea with Coast Guard and Navy and the like. So great to see that. All right, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. So many products. I'm going to see how many I can name. Ready? MyPillow, obviously. The mattress topper, slides, slippers, the My Coffee, the Go Anywhere pillow, the My Cross. You see the bed sheets, the Giza Dream sheets, the multi-use MyPillow 2.0. And that Go Anywhere pillow is just awesome. Again, if you're on a road trip or if you're going on an airplane, you know, you just have this nice, perfect pillow, you're good. So mypillow.com/RSBN, great sponsor here and a great person, of course, in Mike Lindell. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, you can do so by texting RSBN to 801-801 or go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. As you guys know, we're not bought and paid for by some big corporation telling us what to say and controlling us and all that junk. So really, it's our great partnerships with all of these people like you watching. I mean, we have so many viewers when it comes to various events. I mean, if you look at just recently with the July 4th coverage, the Iowa coverage with President Trump at that speech there, whether it's election night in 2024 or inauguration day in 2025, you're talking millions and millions and literally millions of people. We have the receipts, as they say. And so do you. You can check it out. Go ahead and scroll through and see how many people are watching. A lot of you guys are watching. So if you're able to help us out when it comes to finances, we're just being common sense here. It takes money to do what we do. These live feeds that we get at the White House, that's not free. So, and I don't mean to, I'm not speaking down to you. I'm just saying that's the help that we need here at the network as we continue to grow and expand and have more shows and more coverage and all that kind of stuff. So you can donate by going to rsbnetwork.com/RSBN. Also, one more point for those of you that do want to mail cash or a check. We heard that there are some people out there saying, well, I want to mail a check. That's what I've always done. Well, we're here for you. 1550 Opelika Road. There's a P.O. box there. It's at Suite 6. So it's 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you guys for your support as we continue to grow and expand. And it's awesome within that footprint of conservative media. You know, a lot happening now in conservative media, and it's great to be part of that and as we move forward. All right, so 12:39, 12:05 was the original time for the luncheon to start. Maybe the luncheon already did start, and maybe the live feed that we're going to get is mid-lunch or at the end of lunch, who knows. But we're waiting here live with you as we await President Trump and these great foreign leaders as they have a luncheon here in just a few minutes, or maybe right now. I'm not in the room, so I don't know, but it is the Blue Room at the White House. I'm pretty sure I saw that on the president's public schedule. Speaking of the schedule, Friday, President Trump will be going to Central Texas. Of course, we know the tragic events that unfolded there. And then on top of that, we know that in New Mexico, there was some flooding as well, just within the past 24 hours. So we'll see if there's a tragedy in New Mexico. I wonder if the president would go a state over or not. So we'll see. We'll have that live coverage for you on Friday. As for tomorrow, what we're going to do is we wait for the president's schedule as well. Sometimes there's a press briefing. I believe tomorrow may be a good day for one. I'm just guessing. We saw one earlier this week, but nothing right now that we know of for tomorrow until later tonight. That's usually when the networks get the president's public schedule, and obviously you can get it too if you'd like. There's just different ways to find it on there. You just have to search a little bit. But also, we'll have live coverage for you here on Right Side tomorrow and Friday, of course. And then even through the weekend, if there's ever any breaking news or things like, you remember when, well, of course you'll remember this. I mean, Saturday, that night when President Trump addressed the nation that the 3 targets in Iran were hit by United States forces. Well, President Trump spoke that night at 10 o'clock Eastern. We were live here in the studio over the weekend. So various coverage depending on what's needed. We'll be there for it. And we're here for you right now as it's 12:41 Eastern time. We started at 10 this morning. I've had a number of live interviews and a number of great guests on the show, including TS Dixon, Ted Nugent, Ira Dean as well. So if you want to check it out, all you have to do is scrub back and watch, or maybe after this event, of course, we'll see the president. You can just watch the whole thing on replay if you'd like. I mean, though sometimes a video is not, we're known for our live coverage, of course, but though sometimes, maybe it's 20 minutes so-called old, it's still fresh content. It's still stuff that people are talking about, and we have that here for you at Right Side. So if you'd like to follow Right Side on Truth Social, it's at RSBN. More than 3 million followers on there, and then more than 1 million followers on X. And I'm going to say something about X here because I've been wondering this. So I like X, right? I mean, it's great. It's freedom of speech. It's a good thing. So for our followers on RSBN, we have 1.1 million followers, but we've had 1.1 million followers for quite some time. And on other sites like Rumble and even YouTube and Truth Social, the numbers of followers have been increasing. I kind of watch, I look, I check out these various things, right? And for X, for some reason, it's been 1.1 million, and I don't know if that's right. Well, maybe it is, but seriously, Truth Social, the numbers have jumped from 2 million to 3 million. On YouTube, we've seen the numbers jump. And of course, on the great live streaming platform, Rumble, I've seen a jump. I believe last time I saw was 500,000 on Rumble. And I'm bringing this up because I think it's important that we really let everyone know about conservative media, because this whole mainstream thing is now an old dinosaur at this point. And people aren't watching because the people aren't resonating over there. They're not telling it like it is. They're not on the right side of history. They don't. Do they really care about we the people? They would report that way. And sure, there's some people in mainstream media, just a few, that are reporting some factual things, but it's a very small number. But anyway, so let me just double check on the Great Rumble, and I want to double check for the amount of subscribers on Rumble. If you're watching on Rumble, thank you so much for doing so. Last time I checked was at 533,000. It's now at 575,000, and that number keeps going up. And then again on YouTube, we saw it at 1.9 million. Now it's, I think, 1.96, and that was pretty recent. And then again on Truth Social, the numbers increase. So for some reason at X, it just says 1.1 million, and it's been there for a long time. Anyway, I don't know. Is there truth to what I'm saying? Maybe. It's just an observation, and I'm sharing it with you as we've been standing by for quite some time here, live since 10 this morning, as it's 12:44 on the East Coast. Thanks so much for waking up with us on the West Coast out there at 9:44. I know that most of you probably wake up earlier than 9:44, but for those of you that just woke up, hey, thanks for joining us. If we would like to, we may be able to play some of the videos that we played earlier, or we could just dive into some more topics. So you guys choose. What do you want to do here? I'm kidding. But we're looking forward to seeing the president here. He's going to be meeting with a number of world leaders at the White House for this luncheon, and we'll take you there live. And we'll look forward to seeing this coverage here, just like we brought you the cabinet meeting from just yesterday. So speaking of diving into a few things, one thing that affects us all right now is the big, beautiful law. So let's go over a few of those facts once again here as we await the president. So we know it's the largest tax cut in history for middle and working class Americans. Now, the Joint Committee on Taxation says the tax bill will most benefit workers and families making less than $50,000 per year. However, bigger paychecks, there will be some bring-home pay of $10,000 or more in annual take-home pay for families. So that includes, of course, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and a $12.5 billion modernization of our air traffic control system. Of course, Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, really adamant about getting this thing off the ground, no pun intended, because we have to have up-to-date systems within our country. So we're going to see that happening with air traffic control, so ATC. There will be a permanent increase in the child tax credit for more than 40 million families. Also, permanently securing our borders by finishing the border wall and hiring thousands of new officers when it comes to ICE and Border Patrol agents. Wouldn't it be nice and wouldn't it be great? After all those chants that we heard at all those rallies of build the wall, finally we already see that hundreds of the miles of the wall has been built. But we are also looking for the remainder of it throughout the southern border, so that's going to happen. Driving down energy costs with a massive expansion of domestic oil and gas production capacity. Also a tax deduction on Made in America auto loan interest. The big, beautiful law also will have protection for 2 million family farms from punitive double taxation. It'll also create a Trump investment account for every American newborn. Also, it will restore fiscal sanity by cutting $1.5 trillion in spending. Speaking of spending, we know that balancing the budget is a huge thing to do, as we are north of $34 trillion. I believe the latest number is $37 trillion in debt. We don't want a fiscal collapse of any kind. We know that the president has all of these great things happening in the big, beautiful law. We also know that that's on his mind as well, along with the team of, well, we got to figure out now maybe a big, beautiful spending cut bill with some of the DOGE cuts and that kind of thing. We'll see how it goes. That was a thought brought to us by TS Dixon a couple weeks back. Also, this will strengthen Medicaid by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse and blocking illegal immigrants from receiving Medicaid. Funding the Golden Dome missile defense system to confront 21st century threats. And then also modernizing our military to ensure that it has the resources to be a ready, lethal fighting force after 4 years of the Biden era weakness. So that sums up the big, beautiful law that's now taking place for our country as we're approaching the top of the hour, 12:48, live here on Right Side. Let's look at X real quick and see if there's any breaking news stories right now. We see from Homeland Security 11 seconds ago, during a targeted enforcement operation ICE in St. Paul, Minnesota, arrested convicted sexual predators. Governor Walz and his fellow sanctuary politicians are fighting to keep these sex offenders and other criminal illegal aliens in our country. So then Homeland Security has posted a number of the photos of these people. That's from Homeland Security. Let's go to anything else that we see here. Right now, according to disclose.tv, Microsoft pledges more than $4 billion in cash and technology services to train millions of people to use AI. That according to the New York Times. Again, to repeat that article that we're hearing from the New York Times is that Microsoft is pledging more than $4 billion in cash and technology services to train millions of people to use AI. Interesting story there as we check out Truth Social. President Trump continues to post in regards to a number of countries when it comes to international trade, a number of the letters that he signed there. So you can check that out if you'd like on President Trump's Truth Social page. I'm going to go through a couple articles that we're monitoring here at Right Side as we are standing by for this great meeting between President Trump and the leaders from the continent of Africa. I believe there are 5 African nations. The heads of state will be there for this luncheon. Before we get to some articles that you'll see on Right Side Broadcasting Network, let's go to the great All Family Pharmacy as well, as RSBN, of course, is great and happy to partner with All Family Pharmacy, and there's breaking news with this great group. They're known for standing up for medical freedom, and they just launched their biggest sale of the year. So it's now through July 13th. So it's buy one, get one free on ivermectin, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine. That means whatever you order, they'll double it. So 30 capsules will be 60, 90 capsules becomes 180. No insurance needed, no red tape. Doctor's prescription will be included. So with big chains out there trying to shut you out, All Family Pharmacy steps up, giving patriots the power to choose allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. So you see the dates there, July 4th through the 13th. So that buy one, get one free up until July 13th. Also, angelpaste.com. You can use the RSBN promo code for quite the discount there at Angel Paste. A lot of different products, including the Miracle Cream that you can check out there out of the great state of Texas, as it's 12:50 Eastern, 10 minutes from the top of the hour. We've been live since 10 this morning, pretty much nonstop, only a couple commercial breaks. Some great interviews. If you missed it, Ted Nugent joined us here live. Ira Dean, he used to play for Trick Pony, one of the bands out of Nashville, is now also a solo artist, doing great for our country. We interviewed him, and then we interviewed TS Dixon, a conservative analyst and author, all about yesterday's cabinet meeting. So if you'd like to dive into some of those interviews at the end of this broadcast, feel free, as we continue to hold down the fort here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, it's 12:51. What we can do now is go over a couple of the talking points from earlier today in the sense of February 11th. We know that February 11th of this year, that Florida Representative Ana Paulina Luna announced Federal Secrets Declassification Task Force. And in that messaging and in that at the podium there, she was talking about truth and transparency and why it's important for we the people to trust our government. Well, part of the declassification of the secrets, according to Ana Paulina Luna back in February on the 11th, specifically the JFK, RFK, and MLK assassinations, any information on that. I know some of that information has been released. She also spoke about the Epstein files. I know that's a hot topic from yesterday's cabinet meeting. We had TS Dixon on the show to talk about it. Ted Nugent talked about it as well, and also spoke about a new song that they have out there called What Would Charlie Daniels Do? You have to check that out. But in the meantime, back to the point, let's go to President Trump right now.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for being with us today. And I want to thank you, all of these great leaders, for joining us as we welcome to the White House the presidents and prime ministers and various other forms of dignitary to this wonderful place. Is nothing like the White House to me. We're represented today, and your continent is represented by Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal, all very vibrant places with very valuable land, great minerals, great oil deposits, and wonderful people. Last month, the U.S. Africa Business Summit had recorded an attendance record, actually, and generated $2.5 billion in new economic deals for the United States. On June 27th, the foreign ministers of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda visited the White House to sign a historic peace agreement that we worked out. They've been fighting for 30 years. 7 million are dead, and they think the number is actually quite a bit higher than that. It's been a long and vicious fight, and I just wanted to say that the countries represented were very happy that we were able to solve that problem. I think over the next couple of weeks, the leaders of both countries will come to sign the final agreement. As you know, we had foreign ministers last week, but we're going to be signing an end to the horrible 30-year war. It's been going on for a long time. I've been reading about it, hearing about it, and it was a vicious war. It was a terrible war. I want to thank our outstanding senior advisor for Africa, Mossad Boulos, for helping to mediate this breakthrough. He was very much involved in that settlement. Most people thought it couldn't be done. But there's still much more to be done, and we're going to be facilitating peace also in places like Sudan, where they have a lot of problems, Libya and others. We have there's a lot of anger on your continent, and we've been able to solve a lot of it. My administration is committed to strengthening our friendships in Africa through economic development efforts that benefit both the United States and our partners. And we're shifting from AID to trade. We had AID, or aid as we sometimes call it, right to trade. And trade seems to be a foundation that I've been able to settle a lot of these disputes, like as an example, India and Pakistan. Kosovo, Serbia. I said, you guys are going to fight, we're not going to trade. And we seem to be quite successful in doing that. To that end, we have closed the USAID group to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, which was tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're working tirelessly to forge new economic opportunities involving both the United States and many African nations. There's great economic potential in Africa, like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we could be doing together. I'm eager to work with each of you on your vital issues and also to discuss security. We've encouraged our staff at the White House to work along with these nations. There's such tremendous wealth there and potential there. We encourage the countries here today to make greater investments in defense, hopefully, of course, buying our equipment, because we do make the best defense equipment. I guess we proved that about 2 weeks ago in Iran, but we make the best equipment, best military equipment anywhere in the world by far. There's nobody close. And keep pursuing the fight against terrorism, which is a big problem in Africa. Immigration will also be on the. I hope we can bring down the high rates of people overstaying visas and also make progress on the safe third country agreements. And once again, I want to thank you all for being here, and it's an honor for me. Some of you I've met, and some of you I just got to meet, and I think it would be nice if you said a few words to the press, which is right back here. Do we have a camera over here? It'd be nice if you could, oh, there it is. You could speak to the, you don't want to turn your head. I do it a lot. It's not pleasant. But perhaps we could start. Thank you very much. Great gentleman, by the way.
Merci pour m'avoir donné la parole, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you for giving me the floor, Mr. President.
Je voudrais tout d'abord
First of all,
commencer par
I would like to thank you, Mr. President Trump, for inviting us to come here today.
I'm
President Ghazouani, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
Thank you,
Mr. President, for this invitation and the invitation you sent to the other colleagues present here today. This is a very strong message from you, and we are receiving this message very well. This is a message of interest that you're sending to us, and it's a message that you're sending to the whole of Africa. All of this is generous on your part. We are receiving this and we accept this message from you.
Je voudrais aussi, avant de venir à la présentation de mon pays,
before I talk about my country,
dire tout l'intérêt que nous portons
I would like to let you know that we are
en faveur de la paix à travers le monde.
Delighted to see President Trump's commitment to our continent. Mr. President,
Au cours de cette petite période qui ne dépasse pas quelques
in the
mois,
short time you've been back in office, the last few months,
vous venez au secours de la paix.
you came to the rescue for peace. You did it in Asia, with Pakistan and India.
Cette guerre avait commencé et si elle avait continué, on
The
peut
war sort of
imaginer
started, and if it had gone
vraiment
on,
les conséquences
the consequences
désastreuses
could have
qu'elle aurait
been
entraînées.
a real disaster.
Vous avez, depuis le début, vous êtes sur un
Since the
travail
beginning,
énorme en ce qui concerne
You've been doing a
cette
great
guerre
deal of work
au niveau de l'Europe, c'est-à-dire
on the war in Europe, that is the conflict between Russia and Ukraine.
Vous n'avez pas tardé
You
à venir rapidement aussi
rushed
en Afrique
to Africa
pour résoudre un problème
to
précis,
resolve
où
a
il y a eu
long-standing problem.
beaucoup d'efforts qui ont été
Lots of
consentis
efforts had been made
par beaucoup de chefs d'État.
by many heads of states,
Mais il est arrivé
but
qu'avec votre volonté,
your
vous avez
will
fait signer
made it
des
possible
accords.
for
Et
this
maintenant,
agreement
nous
to be
avons
signed.
ce conflit
And now,
derrière nous.
this conflict is behind
Vous êtes en
us.
train de travailler
You are currently
avec
working
beaucoup d'enthousiasme,
with a great deal of
avec
enthusiasm,
beaucoup d'intérêt et de force sur le Moyen-Orient.
and you're also
Et là
working
aussi,
on
c'est
the
un
Middle
autre
East.
problème.
You're paying a great
Nous
deal of
savons
attention
tous
to the
depuis
Middle
quand
East.
il est vieux de
We
combien
all
d'années.
know how far back this conflict
C'est
goes.
un conflit qui est vieux
It is a conflict
d'à peu près 80 ans,
that is about
plus
80
quand
years
même
old,
de 70 ans.
70
Mais c'est
years,
aussi une guerre
but it is also a
depuis
war
maintenant une année.
that has been raging
Et
for
elle a coûté la
a
vie,
year and a
et
half.
vous l'avez dit vous-même.
And
Elle
you've
a
also
coûté la
talked
vie
about the
à
human
énormément
toll.
de personnes.
Many people have died in this conflict.
Donc, tout cela, en énumérant ceci, vous avez bien sûr trouvé,
Of course,
fait arrêter la guerre
you also stopped
entre l'Iran et Israël. Et
the
là
war
aussi,
between
ça a
Iran
été
and
désastreux
Israel.
pour toute
That could have
la région,
been
qui est une
a
région
real
effectivement
disaster for
très
the
sensible.
region. It's a sensitive region
Donc,
to start with.
vos efforts en faveur de la paix sont
Your
multiples.
work
Nous vous
in favor
remercions.
of peace
Et nous vous disons
has been
tout l'intérêt
tremendous,
aussi
and
que nous portons
we
et
are
soutenons
also very
dans ce sens
interested
de la paix.
in supporting peace
Parce que quand il
in
n'y a,
the same way.
il n'y a pas de paix, vous venez de le dire
When there's
tout à
no
l'heure,
peace, like you
président,
said
dans
earlier
votre
today,
quand il n'y a pas de
when
paix,
there's
nous
no
manquons de
peace,
beaucoup de choses intéressantes.
a lot of other
Quand
things
il n'y
are
a pas de paix,
lacking. When there's no
il
peace,
y a difficilement de la prospérité.
it is difficult to have
Il y a
prosperity.
difficilement de la tranquillité.
It is
de
difficult to
l'inquiétude.
have calm, to
On dort
have
mal. On n'est pas
a sense of
à l'aise
quietness.
dans la
It's
vie
hard to
quotidienne
sleep.
de
It's
chacun.
hard to go about your business
Ça,
every
vous le
day.
comprenez, Monsieur
You
le Président,
understand
et
that
vous travaillez
well,
là-dessus.
Mr. President,
Donc,
and you're working
merci,
on this. So
quand même.
thank you.
On doit vous le dire.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Moi, je suis président
I am
de la
the
Mauritanie.
president of Mauritania.
Le président, la Mauritanie est un petit pays.
Mauritania is a small country.
Un petit pays selon certains critères.
Depending on the criteria you
Si on
apply.
parle du nombre
If you look at the number of people who live in Mauritania, it's a small country because we have about 5 million people in Mauritania. We might just be a little bit over 5 million. It's a small country also in the sense that what influence it has throughout the world. It's not like the U.S., Mr. President. Internationally, we understand that our weight, our influence is not that great, and we have no complex about this. It's also a small country because of our level of prosperity. We're not a very prosperous country. We have many problems related to the well-being of our population. But it is also a great country, a big country in other ways. Mauritania is a great country in the sense of its strategic position. It is on the Atlantic coast, which makes it a neighbor to the U.S. It is what unites North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, or what links the two. That is its strategic position, but also in terms of resources. We have a great deal of resources, many resources, and we have a lot of opportunities to offer in terms of investment. We have minerals, rare earths, rare minerals. We have manganese. We have uranium. And we have a good inclination that we have lithium and other minerals. We're the second largest producer for the last 60 years in Africa of iron ore. We produce a lot. And we have a lot of resources in our seawaters, so lots of fishing and whatnot. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
We have to go. But I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it. Maybe we're going to have to go a little bit quicker than this because we have a whole schedule. If I could just add, your name and your country would be great. Thank you, please.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Presidente Trump, e sobretudo.
Thank you, Mr. President, and for welcome everything. For us, the second time here to come as a guest. The first time we had that meeting in Guinea-Bissau.
Não vou alongar muito.
But I will not
Guinea-Bissau é país da paz.
But Guinea-Bissau is a peaceful country and
uma paz mundial. Somos pequeno país.
We are a small country, but we are a great state. Not a great state like the United States.
Não há pequenos estados, grandes estados, há estados.
But we are a great country as well. And to end,
nós estamos a acompanhar a dinâmica.
We are following your dynamics and the war with Russia and Ukraine. And you can count on Guinea-Bissau. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Please, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, let me congratulate you for your recent celebration of your 249th anniversary. We did in Liberia at your embassy. Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. Liberia is a longtime friend of the United States, and we believe in your policy of making America great again. And we also go a long way with you in your diplomacy that has to do with economic development and commercial friendship. Liberia has a lot of minerals, and one of the things we ask as good friends for a long time is the opportunity to do a survey of our minerals. Mm-hmm. And also we are committed to peace, and we've been very lucky within our region. We are a country that have had series of democratic elections, and our country had been cooling down. And also, we want to encourage American involvement in the investment in Liberia.
Yeah.
We'd like to see that happen. We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region, because we are committed to that. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. That's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well, and they come from.
To meet a great American president. Homologue président africain. Je voudrais avant tout remercier ici officiellement le président
No microphone for the speaker.
de travail, d'amitié entre nos différents pays.
No interpretation.
Parce qu'aujourd'hui, le président Trump
There's no
est la fierté
microphone
du
for the
peuple
speaker.
américain et la fierté du monde entier. Dans plusieurs domaines, le domaine économique,
Still no microphone for the
le
speaker.
domaine politique et au niveau diplomatique, je salue le
Could you turn
effort.
that on? Yeah. Just press it. There you go.
Yes. Et au niveau diplomatique, je salue
I
les
would
succès
like
que vous
to
avez
commend
obtenus
you,
pour
Mr.
amener l'accord de
President,
paix entre la RDC et le
for the
Rwanda.
success you had
Mais
in
vous ne
reaching a
devez
peace
pas vous
agreement
arrêter
between
là.
Rwanda and the
L'Afrique est un
DRC.
grand continent où il y a beaucoup de
Africa is a
problèmes.
vast
Nous
continent
comptons
that
énormément
has
sur
many
vous pour amener la
problems,
paix
and
au
we
Soudan
truly count on
et même
you
dans le
for your
Sahel.
assistance
Parce
in
qu'on ne peut pas
Sudan
investir
and in the Sahel, because
dans la guerre.
no investment
Pour
can be
investir, il
made
faut la paix.
when there is a
Et
war.
je pense que l'ensemble
For
des 5 chefs
investment,
d'État
you
où nous
need
sommes ici
peace.
présents,
The other heads of state who
nos
are
pays
here
sont en
with
paix.
me represent countries that
le
are
Gabon
at
est un havre de
peace,
paix depuis longtemps.
and that has been the case
Et lorsque nous sommes
for
ici
some
sur cette table, nous
When
disposons également des matières premières,
We also have raw
des minéraux,
materials.
des terres rares, du eau. Nous ne sommes pas des pays pauvres.
We are not poor countries.
Nous sommes des pays riches en
We are
matières
rich
premières.
countries when it comes to
Mais
raw
nous avons besoin des
materials.
partenaires
But we need
pour nous
partners
accompagner pour les
to
développer.
support us and
Avec
help
des
us develop
partenariats
those
win-win,
resources with win-win
gagnant-gagnant.
partnerships.
C'est ce que nous souhaitons.
That is our
Je suis
wish.
souvent vos discours
I
et je
often
m'inscris
listen
à
to your
l'intérieur
remarks and speeches,
parce que
Mr.
nous voulons que nos
President.
matières premières soient transformées mais
We
dorénavant
also
sur place,
want our raw materials to be processed
chez nous,
locally
pour
in
créer
our
de la valeur,
country so that we can
et pour créer
create
des emplois pour
value
les jeunes,
and to create
pour qu'ils
jobs
arrêtent de
for
mourir,
youth so that
de
they
traverser la
stop
mer pour venir
dying.
jusqu'ici.
They are crossing the sea,
Et c'est ce que nous
the
attendons,
ocean,
la
to go to other
transformation locale
countries.
sur place.
That is what we
Le
want to
Gabon
have, local
est un
processing of
pays
raw materials.
riche de 2 millions
Gabon
500 000 habitants,
is a rich country. We have
avec
over
une
2
énorme
million
diversité
inhabitants and a great
et plusieurs
deal
matières premières,
of
avec du pétrole,
diversity,
des
raw
réserves de gaz.
materials, oil and gas
Et nous
reserves,
souhaitons que ce soit exploité
and we would like those resources to be
dans un
tapped
modèle économique qui nous arrange.
using an economic
Depuis le 30
model
août 2023,
that fits.
date du coup de la libération,
Since
nous avons
our
changé
liberation,
notre registre de commerce.
we have
Nous avons mis
changed
de la transparence,
how we do
des appels
trade.
d'offres.
We've focused on transparency
Pour tous ceux qui
and
veulent venir
bids
investir
for
chez nous.
anyone who wants to come invest in our country.
Si vous regardez l'actualité,
If you
nous avons également
follow the
demandé au Gabon de
news, we've
revoir les accords de
also
pêche avec l'Union européenne.
worked on
Parce que nous
agreements
estimons qu'ils
with
n'étaient
the
pas win-win.
European Union, and we wanted to
Et donc, c'est un
review
marché
those because
ouvert.
we didn't think that those
On a
were
pris
win-win
l'engagement de
opportunities.
transformer
So
le
our market
manganèse
is
sur
open.
place.
We want to
Le manganèse que vous
process
achetez ici
manganese
par l'intermédiaire de la
locally
société Eramet.
which you
Il vient du
purchase
Gabon.
through a
Je ne sais
company
pas à quel prix
called
vous l'achetez,
Aramet,
mais je suis sûr que vous l'achetez plus cher.
and I'm sure that it's more
Lorsqu'il le prend chez nous.
expensive
Pourquoi ne pas venir
compared
investir
to
sur place et
when
le
you
transformer
can
sur place?
come and buy it directly
Pour le
from
transformer,
us.
nous avons besoin
In order to do
de
this
8 à
local
10 gigas
processing, we need
d'électricité.
8 to 10
C'est encore un marché
gigawatts
ouvert
of electricity.
pour toutes les
Again,
sociétés américaines
this
qui
is
veulent
an
venir
open
investir chez
bid.
nous dans
Any
l'électricité.
American company that wants to invest
C'est un
in
domaine à
electricity in Gabon
Nous avons
is
aussi en matière de
welcome to
défense
take advantage of that opportunity.
Oui.
Now, looking at defense,
le golfe de Guinée
the Gulf of
qui
Guinea
fait face à la
is an
piraterie
issue.
maritime.
There is maritime
Et nous devons le
piracy
stabiliser
in
ensemble.
that area, and we want to
Vous
work
avez parlé que
together
vous
to
avez des meilleurs
stabilize.
équipements.
You said you had the best
Oui, nous les
equipment,
souhaitons.
the best military equipment,
Pour
and that's what
repousser
we'd like to
la
have,
piraterie maritime
so
dans
that
le
we
golfe de
can
Guinée.
stop maritime piracy in the
Seuls,
Gulf
nous ne
of Guinea.
pouvons pas.
We can't do it
On a
alone.
besoin d'un partenaire
We need
fiable,
a
robuste,
reliable and strong
s'engage
partner that is
avec du
committed
concret.
and that takes
Et moi, je vous aime parce que
real
vous êtes
steps, real
pragmatique.
action. We also need to be
Vous êtes
pragmatic,
concret.
and that's what you
Moi, en tant
are.
que général, je le suis aussi.
And I'm a general,
J'aime les
and I
choses
am
qui vont
too.
vite.
I'm pragmatic. I like it when
Le
things
pays, il est libre,
move
il est
quickly.
ouvert à tout le monde.
Our country is
Venez
free,
investir, ne
open
soyez pas les
to one
derniers
and all.
à venir
You are
frapper aux portes de
welcome
l'Afrique.
to come and
Sinon, d'autres
invest.
viendront à votre place.
Otherwise, other
C'est ce que je
countries
tenais à
might
vous dire.
come
Merci.
instead of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you so much,
Je voudrais d'abord
Mr. President.
vous remercier pour
I would like to
l'invitation.
thank you for this
L'honneur que nous
invitation.
avons
It
aujourd'hui
is an
nous
honor
concernant
for
particulièrement
us
d'être à la Maison Blanche
to be
et pour
here
pouvoir
at the
échanger
White
avec
House
vous
and to have this
sur
opportunity to speak
le nouveau
with
cadre de
you
partenariat que
about
vous
the
voulez
new partnership
définir avec l'Afrique
that you are putting in
concernant
place with
particulièrement
Africa,
les investissements.
particularly for
Mais avant, je voudrais
investment.
saluer votre
I
engagement
also
pour la
wanted to
paix dans le
commend
monde.
you for your commitment to peace throughout the world and the incredible diplomatic success that you had with the DRC, as my colleagues mentioned. You said that this put an end to a long war that claimed many lives, and thankfully you were here to put an end to this 30-year war. I also wanted to express that Africa supports all efforts to bring back peace to Sudan, Libya, and in the Sahel. Mr. President, as you've seen, you can only do business when there is peace and security, and you build peace everywhere in the world so that there can be better investments. The entire world is grateful to you for this. Now, with respect to my country, Senegal, I've been president for some 15, 16 months now, and I want to reassure all American investors about our country's political stability and our favorable regulatory environment, which we are continuously improving upon in order to attract more investment. I wanted to speak about two projects that I think are an exceptional opportunity. I will speak about the U.S. Ecological Survey, which can help assess the potential of the minerals in our country. And thanks to American companies, we've been able to discover oil and gas. Some 950 billion cubic meters of gas that we can tap into in order to support our economy. And again, here we were able to do this with an American company. Another project I'd like to mention, and again, I would like to invite American investors to take part in this. It's for a digital city. We identified a space within the city of Dakar. It has it's on some 40 hectares, and this is a great opportunity for American tech companies to come in and make Dakar a tech city open to Africa.
Je me demandais bien quel était votre secret pour résoudre toutes ces crises complexes. Quelqu'un m'a dit que vous êtes un excellent champion de golf.
Resolving all these complex crises, and I know you are a tremendous golf player. Golf requires concentration and precision, qualities that also make for a great leader. Senegal has exceptional opportunities to offer, including in the area of tourism. So perhaps an investment could be made in a golf course in Senegal. It would just be 6 hours by flight from New York, from Miami, from Europe, or from the Gulf, and that would be an opportunity for you to show off your skills on the golf course too. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very nice. Some way to show off my skills. It's a long trip to show off my skill, but that's really nice. And he's led a very interesting life. He looks like a very young person. He's a little older than he looks, but a fantastic job. He was treated very unfairly by his government, and he prevailed. And so congratulations on that. Really, congratulations. It was a great job. And you've all done a fantastic job. And so we'll be talking to you as we have the meal. Do you want to ask any questions, please? Where's my reporter from Africa? There you are. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. President.
He's very famous in Africa. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Miss, I have one question for the African presidents and one question for President Trump. As you can see, Mr. President Trump, all the African presidents are very happy with your efforts to bring peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. My question to you is, today you are making history by receiving 5 African presidents and showing the interest of the United States to collaborate and to work close with the African nations. African continent is watching, African youth is watching, and this new approach that your administration is taking to deal with African nations, not only based on help, but in doing business that everybody can win, is really much appreciated for all the Africans. My question is, are you planning, Mr. President, in the future to travel to Africa to see firsthand all those countries in Africa, all those potential that those countries have? And for the African leaders, as you can see, President Trump is working to bring peace not only in Africa but also in the world. Are you all considering to nominate President Trump for a Nobel Prize Peace?
That's a very nice reporter. I got to meet her 2 weeks ago when we had the Congo and Rwanda, and we had some other people up from Africa, and that was the first time. But that's very nice. I appreciate the questions. Very nice, actually. Would you like to? At some point, I would like to go to Africa. Absolutely. We're going to see what the schedule is, but at some point, I would like to do that very much. Would you like to give a fast answer, please?
Thank you very much. Of course, we are supporting this.
Microphone, please.
Yeah, microphone, please.
Of course, on soutient cette dynamique pour la paix.
We are in favor of this dynamic for peace. We are very committed on peace. I am the first head of state who went to Russia and who went to Ukraine both since the start of the war. I held the presidency of ECOWAS, and we spoke for 4 hours, and then I went to Ukraine. I spent 12 hours on a train to speak to President Zelensky. But now the weight of President Trump is something else altogether. We are with you. We are behind you to see what we can do to help bring peace back. No one wins when there's war. So you have our support so that we can bring peace back. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go ahead, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président Trump. Merci,
thank you, Mr. President Trump.
Mesdames,
thank you,
la presse et messieurs.
for your questions. A Nobel Peace Prize, well, I don't see any problem with it. I think that President Trump deserves it for all the efforts that he's worked on. And he brought peace back in the SIAC region. That is my region, the region where DRC and Rwanda signed a deal. And so he is now bringing peace back into a region where that was never possible. So I believe that he does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. That is my opinion on this.
Well, thank you very much. It's very, very nice. Thank you. I didn't know I'd be treated this nicely. This is great. We could do this all day long. Thank you very much. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, I believe that we have to continue to support America in the strength to be able to bring about peace in the world. America is a melting point and also a country that we all look forward to. And I want to encourage you, because without peace, we can't have a world to live in. And we stand with you on that.
That's right. Thank you. Well said. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your question. Very important question indeed. Forgive me for saying this, but unfortunately, I don't really understand, I don't know how things work when it comes to Nobel Prizes, but I can guarantee you that Mauritania would never be opposed to President Trump receiving a Nobel Peace Prize, because he's already working very hard in favor of peace throughout the world, with no distinction, no regard to what continent it's on, and he's working on areas where there are tensions everywhere, and he's committed towards peace, and our world needs more peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense que sera la décision du jury.
The jury will decide. It's not a matter of voting amongst our countries, but what is for sure is that the results and the work done in such a short amount of time show that you would be a good recipient, and I'm sure that the jury sees that, and the rest of the world sees it as well and understands it. When the time comes, I think everyone will see that it is a deserved prize. Congratulations on what you've done so far. If we took a poll, I think you would be very far ahead in those polls.
Thank you very much. Very nice. All of you, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. James Comey and John Brennan, now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people. So whatever happens, happens.
And now, a few weeks after the strikes that you ordered on the nuclear facilities in Iran, there is an Iranian official who says you, President Trump, have done something that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago. As you lie there with your stomach to the sun, a small drone might hit you in the navel. It's very simple. Do you think that's a real threat? And when is the last time you went sunbathing anyway?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I don't know. Maybe I was around 7 or so. I'm not too big into it. Yeah, I guess it's a threat. I'm not sure it's a threat, actually, but perhaps it is.
And on one other subject, two Democratic senators now, Cory Booker and Alex Padilla, have a new bill out. They want to require CBP and ICE officers to have legible IDs, and they don't want CBP or ICE officers covering their faces. Would you ever sign that?
Well, they wouldn't be saying that if they didn't hate our country, and they obviously do. I'm surprised that they would do it, knowing a little bit about them. I don't know them well, but these officers are doing a tremendous job. They're great patriots. If you expose them because of statements like have been made by Democrats and others on the left, usually, mostly, I think probably exclusively, you put them in great danger, tremendous danger. And it's sort of funny when people picket in front of Columbia, in front of Harvard, and they have masks on, more than masks. I mean, you can't see anything. Nobody complains about that. But when a patriot who works for ICE or Border Patrol puts a mask on so that they won't recognize him and his family, so they can lead a little bit of a normal life after having worked so hard and so dangerously, there's a problem with that. So they have this is the problem with the Democrats. They have a lot of bad things going on in their heads. They've really become they've lost their confidence, number one, and they've become somewhat deranged. I want to do whatever's necessary to protect our great law enforcement people, and they are right at the top of the list.
And your Agriculture Department also announced this week that they are going to start limiting Chinese ownership of American farmland. Why do you think that the Chinese have been buying up all this farmland in our country so close to military installations?
Well, I don't want to get into that. I have a very good relationship with President Xi. We're going to see, and I'm going to, they're going to be making a recommendation to me, but we have a very good relationship. As you know, they're paying a lot of tariffs to the United States now, and so I'm not going to get into that right now. Yeah, please.
Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that the White House was weighing whether to send another Patriot air defense system to Ukraine. Can you confirm that reporting?
They would like it. They've asked for it. They're very rare indeed, because a lot of systems have been sent to Ukraine. But they would like to. I know they made the request. We're going to have to take a look at it. Very expensive system. It's a shame that we have to spend so much money on a war that would have never happened if I were president. That's a terrible, terrible war over there, and it's really a shame. It's very sad. When you talk about a system like that, highly sophisticated, tremendous amount of money, and they're doing it because they want to prevent death. They're getting hit hard, very hard. So we're looking at it.
Also on Russia. As well, Ukraine was hit by over 700 drones sent by Russia last night. What's your response to that?
Well, I've been sort of letting people know I'm not happy about what's going on. It's a war that should have never happened. It should not happen now. They're losing. Now it's up. I've been saying 5,000. Now it's up to 7,000. Think of it, 7,000 people a week on both sides. 7,000 people, young, mostly military people, young souls are dead and dying, and it should be stopped. It should be stopped. Very sad to see what's happening. Yes, please.
Sir, can you explain how you calculated your latest round of tariffs? Was there a formula that was used? And do you expect any of these countries to face tariffs as well?
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers. And we're going to have a couple of more coming out today. Brazil, as an example, has been not good to us, not good at all. We're going to be releasing a Brazil number, I think, later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning. But they're based on very substantial facts and also past history. You look at the past history. We never had anybody in the White House that understood the numbers or were into it like I have. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, hundreds of billions, and we haven't even started yet. And it's going to be a great thing for our country. I think it's going to be a fair thing for the world. And we really haven't had too many complaints because I'm keeping them at a very low number, very conservative, as you would say, number. And we haven't had, I'm sure they will be complaining at certain points, but we haven't had complaints. We've been treated very unfairly by both friend and foe. And friend has treated us very badly. It's not even believable that for so many years, I was I was using tariffs in my first administration. We had the most successful financially administration that there's ever been. This is going to be much better. But we got cut short with the COVID because I didn't think it was appropriate when, Italy, Spain, you saw the horror show that a lot of the countries went through. So I cut it a little bit short. But we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had the most successful term ever from a president financially. But this is going to be much more successful. Yes, please.
Do you expect any of the countries here to face tariffs as well?
I haven't thought of it, but I don't know. Let's see. I like him, and him. No, I don't think so. Not too much. It's very good. He's a. Yes,
Thank you for taking our questions, Mr. President.
Okay.
You talked about the amount of external revenue the country has brought in thanks to your tariffs. Can you talk about how these hundreds of billions of dollars that are getting brought in will help grow the country, and what do you hope to put it towards?
Well, bigger than the tariffs actually are the fact that when you charge the tariffs at a certain point, they say, well, we can't pay those tariffs. It doesn't make economic sense. These are wealthy countries, and they or their companies will come into our country and build, and that's what's actually happening. If you had a very low tariff, there'd be no incentive to do that. If you have no tariff, like we used to have, which is so stupid, it's not even believable, but then obviously they make their product, the product in their country. They have the jobs, they have the income, they have the taxes, they have everything, and they just send it into us, and it's jobs that we wouldn't get. Now the wheel is turned, and what we're doing is we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, money that we've never seen before. But more important than that, we have a lot of people that would rather not have to pay that. So they're coming in and they're building plants. AI, we're leading everybody, including China, by a lot with AI. They're building their own plant. You heard me say yesterday, they're building their own electric generating plants to go along with the factories or plants that they're building. If they want to do that, we're getting them fast approvals, very fast turnarounds. They're using mostly natural gas to start off, but they're using coal. They have the right to use coal. They have the right to use nuclear. Nuclear's come a long way in the last 5 years. So we're getting them very fast approvals. We have factories and plants building at a level that we've never had in this country before. Yeah.
And secondly, a study from the Council of Economic Advisors. You put it on Truth Social yesterday. It showed that your assessment that tariffs would slow inflation was accurate, and that the prices of imported has fallen, that your assessment was right, the critics were wrong. Why do so-called experts continually misread your economic policy, sir?
Well, it's not the experts, it's the fake news and a combination of that and the Democrats. I saw an ad on television today on Fox, and it was some ad about, Trump has raised costs. It's the opposite. I actually put out a statement. I brought down costs. I brought down the cost of groceries. I brought down the cost of tremendously groceries. If you remember my first week in office, the press was screaming at me about the cost of eggs. They were 4 times higher than they were just a short time ago. That was caused by Biden and stupid policies, and we got that down. And by Easter, it was normalized, and now it's actually even at a lower price. So when I see an ad like that, it's always good to respond. I feel you have to respond. It was an ad that things are more costly. No, they're much less costly. Yesterday, $1.99 a gallon. There's 3 states were selling gasoline at $1.99. You haven't seen that for a long time. And I brought costs way down. Just about every cost. I can't think of a cost that went up, but just about every cost. So what they do is they lie. They take ads. You'd almost think that the advertising station would stop it because they know it's wrong. It's such a lie. All you can do is say it's a lie and explain it. I guess I have the ability to explain it at conferences like this, so I like to take advantage of it and do it. But costs are substantially down under the Trump administration. And as you know, Biden had the highest inflation, I believe, in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but regardless, I think it was really the highest in the history of our country. And they were up to numbers that nobody ever saw before. And we have inflation now totally under control. We have a Fed chairman that if he was doing his job properly would lower interest rates, but we're bullying through even that. We're doing so well, it's not having that kind of an impact on us. But you want to see a rocket ship? We should have the lowest interest rates, because without us, there's nothing. And we have a strong country now, and we're taking in a lot of money. And other countries aren't even complaining. They got away with murder. They took advantage of a lot of very stupid people that sat in the seat, very stupid people, or people that didn't understand business or something was going on. But hard to believe that they got away with it for so many years. But now, and I'm treating them very fairly. Again, we have countries with tremendous deficits with us, where we have, where we essentially lose a lot of money. And we are changing that around very rapidly, and I think it's about time somebody did it. Yeah, please.
Sir, yesterday you said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it, because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
What does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing?
I would know. If a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely I'd give the order, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, please.
Can I ask how your meeting with Netanyahu went over the last couple of days, and how realistic do you think a ceasefire is this week?
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much, but there's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of signed this week, and maybe next week if not.
The African Growth and Opportunity Act, which has been central to many sub-Saharan countries having access to the U.S. market, that's due to expire in September. Are you hoping to extend that beyond it?
Well, we'll take a look at that. Yes, please.
Thank you. That's up to Congress to take a first crack at. We know that program's been in place for about 20 years, and at the end result of that, we see a lot of other countries operating in Africa. We still see a lot of tariff and non-tariff barriers in Africa. So I think any discussion about that act would also have to think about how we address those kinds of barriers.
Yeah, Peter.
President Trump, in Alvarado, Texas, a few days ago, 10 people wearing all black allegedly set off fireworks outside an ICE office to lure the officers out so they could ambush them, shoot at them. They had guns and vests and two-way radios. Do you think that this was an isolated incident, or do you think there's a national threat of a left-wing militia that is targeting ICE and CBP?
Well, I think you have some very stupid people in the left who have some money that are making it available to these people, because you look at the guns they had, they were brand new. You look at even the clothing they were wearing, it looked like it just came out of some military shop. So you have some very stupid people that if anything ever happened, they'd be the first to go. They don't understand that. They'd be the first to go. They'd be the first ones hit. But there is money being put behind people. When you look at the weapons they have, the newness of the weapons, rifles that just came out and they have the latest model. So there's something going on, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
And what do you think the penalty should be for these people who are, if they are found guilty, for people who shoot at ICE officers?
Very, very stiff. Very stiff. A long time in jail, a long time. And one got hit yesterday in the neck, and he fortunately is going to be okay, but he got hit yesterday in the neck. No good.
And what would you think if I read you a quote from a lawmaker who says about ICE, to abolish it, to treat them as criminals or anything that is inappropriate and outrageous? And I told you that that was Democrat John Fetterman.
Well, it's, by the way, I assume when you read that, because you paused in the middle, you're going to have to read that again without the pause. Could you read that again, please?
To abolish it, to treat them as criminals or anything that's inappropriate and outrageous.
So he's saying that to treat the people that did the shooting is... Oh, okay, good. Because the way you read it, it really was the opposite. But that's okay. That's all right. I think that's what he meant. No, the new John Fetterman is exactly what you said. He's right. He's right. And we have to protect our police officers, and we will. And we have been. If you saw the stats released by the FBI the other day, the murder rate's way down, the lowest it's been in a long time, and that took place over the last 6 months. For the last 6 months, murder, it's a hell of a subject to have to talk about, but murder is way down at almost getting to be modern day records. So that's despite the fact that we have a lot of people that came into the country that shouldn't be here.
Mr. President?
Yes, please.
So 2 questions, one on tariffs, the other on the IRS. On tariffs, China is reportedly softening their impact on U.S. tariffs in Africa, announcing last month that they would halt charges on imports for nearly all of its African partners.
Good.
Does this move by China influence your thinking, your approach to tariffs on the continent?
Well, we treat Africa great in many different ways, including with tariffs. But, parts of Africa charge us tremendous tariffs, as you know. And they're going to be dropping those tariffs. They've already informed me they're going to be dropping those tariffs. But we treat Africa far better than China or anybody else, anyplace else. Yeah.
And on the IRS says that churches can now endorse political candidates. What's your reaction to this, and how do you expect this to influence some of the work that's afoot on the continent? There's a lot of American churches that are missionaries doing missionary work on the continent. Do you support that?
I love the fact that churches can endorse a political candidate. I think so, because we have a lot of respect for the people that lead the church, for the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis and the all different leaders, all different religions, and people respect those people. And I think there's nothing wrong. It was a very big penalty if that took place just a little while ago. They had a thing called the Johnson Act, and it was a very big penalty. I think it's great if a pastor, minister, priest, rabbi, and we could very much go into your religion, by the way, which is something that people are having great respect for throughout the world. If somebody of faith wants to endorse, I think it's something that I'd like to hear. And I can guarantee you the people that they're with every Saturday or Sunday or whatever it is they're with, they want to hear from these people. And it was a very severe penalty. Those people were not allowed to speak up. Now they're allowed to speak up. No, I think it's terrific.
Mr. President, your administration took new actions against Harvard University today. Are you still optimistic about reaching a deal with the university?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Harvard's been very bad, totally anti-Semitic. And, they'll absolutely reach a deal. Peter?
I just got a text from our colleague, John Roberts. He says that we are now reporting the guy who was arrested in the Alvarado, Texas incident for tampering with the evidence was a green card recipient under the Biden administration and a prior DACA recipient. What do you think of that?
It's very sad. It's very bad. A lot of them are here. We came in 21 million. I think it's higher than that, by the way, but they say 21 million people came in. Many of them are criminals. Many of them are murderers. 11,888 is what they say are murderers. And they came in through open border policies, no checking, no vetting, no nothing. And we have a lot of that. And despite that, we have crime down, which is pretty amazing.
And this is a long
say
meeting,
say hello to John Roberts.
I will. I'm sure he's watching this right now. A lot of news has broken since we've been in here. Axios says a secret White House meeting between Steve Witkoff, Ron Dermer, and a Qatari envoy on Tuesday led to significant progress in the negotiations over the Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal. What can you tell us about this
It's
secret
very possible.
meeting?
I will tell you we're getting very close to a deal. I don't know if it's secret or not secret, but it doesn't matter to me. Secret's fine if it gets us to where we want to be. We want to have a ceasefire. We want to have peace. We want to get the hostages back. And I think we're close to doing it. Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. Good job, everybody. Huh? Thank you. It was a good job.
All right, so seeing this all live from the White House, there is the president meeting with foreign leaders. And if you missed any of our live coverage, we started at 10 o'clock this morning, had a number of great interviews and some great videos that we showed you just to kind of get that context on that 30,000-foot view on what the heck's going on out there in this world. 24/7 news cycle has ramped up as it's now Wednesday, July 9th. We're going to thank a number of sponsors here, wrap up this broadcast for the day, but without these great sponsors, we wouldn't be able to show you everything we just did and all of the coverage that we have here at Right Side, including allfamilypharmacy.com. They have a buy one, get one free sale. That's until July 13th. Also, let's move on to Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Let's now go to kalshi.com/RSBN as well. Thank you guys for being a great sponsor. On top of that, angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. Use that RSBN promo code to get a great percentage off. MyPillow.com, more than 2,000 products on there, MyPillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801 or go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. So thank you for all of the sponsorship and partnerships we have here at the network. If you missed anything I just said, you can always hit pause, scrub back a little bit, and check it out. But also, if you missed our coverage from 10 o'clock this morning all the way until now, let's just put it this way. I hope you didn't miss it. If you did, please, I'm just asking, and I don't usually ask this, but if you love our country, if you love freedom, maybe go through some of the interviews that we had with Ted Nugent, Ira Dean, TS Dixon. They've also been posted all over the place on social media, so please check them out. Thank you so much for watching here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll have any more coverage as we get it here at the network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you a bit later.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interviewed the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.